Hey guy, today I was wondering how do we make 360 video? How do we make 360 video good? I mean, yeah, it must be easy. You just take a data, you put it on a field, and you record. No problem with that. But it's not so simple because how do you hide the cameraman? How do you hide the director? Do you manage the fact that everybody is around? How do you manage the capture of the sound? It's all technical problem, all stuff that you're wondering, what the fuck, how I will do that. And so today there were a workshop organized by VA Lab here in Brussels, and so Marijn was here to speak about his 1 year or 2 year of experience in 360 recording and doing movie about this. And so the workshop was like an hour where he was explaining us stuff, and we were talking with him and asking questions and reacting. And after that, we have a little workshop of a half an hour where we were trying to see how we can do a 360 movie quickly, just to do a prototype and see what's happened. And so enjoy the video. There is a lot of good tips, a lot of good information you can use. So if you have 1 hour to just look around this video and you are very interested in 360, I welcome you very lot to watch it. So enjoy and see you next time at the next workshop.
This would have been a cool introduction.
And then we could be like on and up.
And then I was coming into this room.
And you jump behind the curtains.
Oh, we like this a lot.
Sorry, very sorry.
No problem. Well, so I will continue. And we can write a lot about it and talk about it. So we actually made this movie. Important about this is that this is a movie where the creativity and the experiment were the first thing. So at sometimes we had to lose a little bit the technical side because we wanted to focus on the creativity and on the storytelling. Because our point of view is that the most of the VR companies and artists from this moment are focusing too much on these technical aspects and not about the content. And it has been proven already a lot of times in history that it's more the story and what you do with it that makes a difference, and not how the techniques has worked out. However, they're of course very important. So we did this, and this was this research project. I also have it with me, and when we have a pause or something, you can watch it. But it might be interesting to talk about it first. But first of all, it would be nice for me to know who you guys are, what your background is, and what you already know about VR. So maybe we can start over here.
Oh, so quickly.
Yes, I know it's just that I know how much you already know about VR.
Yeah, no problem. I'm like an expert in VR. I'm since the Kickstarter of Focus DK1 on it.
Mm-hmm.
So DK1, DK2, and not cover because I don't have money anymore. I work on 360 gaming and a lot of other field like mixing a Kinect with VR or mixing a wheelchair with VR, stuff like that.
Okay, and cinematic VR, like filmed VR, live action?
In 360, I'm trying
video?
to do some stuff, so I do photo and recording, and I try to mix up the stuff, but I'm not in the movie stuff because it's not my studies. But I would like to do a keynote one day to see how it works.
Okay.
So yeah.
Great.
I'm doing VR for many years actually, in different format and projection with a headset and with a I'm exploring the way it can be torn toward artistic experiments, and I'm doing also a lot of work with music, video, and complex installations.
Me, I don't have any connection with VR. I'm a teacher, but I would like to see how it works and how could maybe in the future just integrate it in my teaching. I use a bit the Blender because I like it to but I haven't used it in a level of VR.
She's a bit afraid of talking English, but this is my girlfriend. We are from Kortrijk, how you say it in English?
I know Kortrijk.
Yes, it's a bit far, and I didn't want to come alone, so I brought my girlfriend here. But she has no background with VR. She's an accountant, so and me, I'm a student mobile applications, and I did a thesis on web VR and presenting. So that's all I have.
I have a background in architecture, and now I'm an aspiring VR developer. My interest in VR is to use it to make the design process in architecture more open and accessible. Since architects work with very abstract versions of designs, it really presents an opportunity to make it more understandable for the general public and to involve them more. So that's my interest. No background in storytelling, but I do like to do the occasional game jam. And I do have an interest in more narrative video games, so I think this is interesting to see what kind of lessons you learn from your experience.
I am computer engineer and I'm just beginning with VR. Just a few months ago I began through a couple of workshops that Fabian organized, and then I began to see it and I really thought it was very interesting, and then I began to be involved in it, but I'm just beginning on with this.
Yes.
Same for me. No experience in VR, but really fascinated by the technology. I want to know more, both on the gaming side and then in the cinematic side, and I would like to see how this is evolving in Belgium, and how I can be part of this community, and how I can test the technology and hear more about it.
Okay, great. So, and I already know most of your backgrounds. I don't know if you want to share something more with me. Dramatic youth or something.
Enjoy. One thing for the enjoy, but also after it, send some feedback on Meetup or come chat about what made sense, what did not, what we can clarify. If you want to dwell deeper in this, for example, to have another eventually workshop or presentation. If you have other ideas, if you want to propose also one. I mean, it's a community-driven kind of event. So if you don't propose, then we don't really improve. If you suggest, we hopefully improve. So, yeah.
Okay, great. So it's a really a bit what I thought. So I think the focus on the people are more into this and the animated VR, so the computer VR. I will have a talk in this presentation, not a lot about that, because I really don't have any experience with animating or coding, or I'm a director, filmmaker. But I think that the thoughts we have and the ideas about narration, they can also be applied in gaming and everything. So I think it's very interesting for game developers and animators to already think about these things also. I think it will make their content even better. Furthermore, when we have posted something, you can go quickly through this. It's unfortunately only in Dutch. It's my thesis we wrote, and it's also from the other students together. This is actually a VR filmmaking for dummies book. So it's yeah, we wrote it on this kind of way because when I started with this, I had to read a lot of English pages, and they were not very well written, or too difficult, or too easy, and it was really a search into this dark hole. And I thought, well, maybe we should start with making some easy guides so that it can be a professional or a hobbyist to start making things. So that's the idea. It's really not finished yet. I hope to improve this step by step, week by week, but you know, it's a start. Someone wants to read it, you can do it. If someone wants it in PDF, normally we don't give it away, but for this community I would love to do it if I can trust you. So, and if someone has feedback on it, that would be even more great. And also something maybe interesting is because we did this VR movie, we noticed there were a lot of people interested in it. So we started this production company called Soulmade to focus on creative live action VR, to go deeper into making VR films and more focusing on the content. So actually what we would like to do is to be a partner of other companies that making VR, already making VR or making other content, and to help them in this narrative creative part. So well, yeah, virtual reality, it's something new and we were still trying to define everything about it. But I think the most important thing is to see what we are going to make. Does it fit in VR? Does it has a reason to be in virtual reality? So two very important words are immersed and presence. And I already talked about this in my last presentation, so I just wanted to know who of you have seen my presentation at the BVR meetup last time. Okay, so these are 4 people. Okay, then sorry for the 4 people, but you will have to hear some things probably again. So what we found out in our research was that we had these 2 conditions to make quality VR content, or what we thought that would make us more making quality VR content. So as you can see, this is a shot of a series called The Walking Dead. I don't know if a lot of you people have seen Walking Dead. And this is this scene where you have these 2 people fighting and they're looking at each other, and there's a lot of blood and noise around, and it's this really exciting situation. And then we have a point of view of one of the characters, and the point of view looks like this. And I thought to myself, now, would this be a good shot in virtual reality? Because that's a question that I ask myself a lot. Because VR is mostly point of view, because when we set headsets on, we get to view, we are the eyes of someone else. So I looked in these things that are already made, and I asked myself, is this a good point of view for in VR? And I thought, well, this could be interesting, but because here it's about what's happening to this character, it's what's happening around thing. It's the audio, it's the noise, it's the blood flying around, it's the excitement of the moment that makes it interesting. And also, what a good quality check is, if you would have put the goggles on and you would have been in this character and you see your other friend taking you and screaming, run for the zombies, you don't need anything else. You would understand it and you would have the emotion that is made by the director, and that the director wants in this scene. So we have another point of view here. And this, I don't know if you can see it better, I'll try to go a little bit closer. It's from the movie La Vita è Bella. So I don't know if a lot of people, if you know the movie, it's about this, it's about Second World War, and you have the father and a son of a Jude, and they're Judes, and they're in Auschwitz. And the father is actually trying to make his kid believe that he's not in a very bad place, but it is some kind of game. And at a certain moment, you know, this kid is in this metal box, and he looks and he sees his father. The father is actually held by a German, and it's not looking good for him. But he's trying to make this funny for his kid, so that his kid isn't afraid anymore. And then we also get a point of view, and first we see the eyes of the kid, then we see the point of view, and then we see the eyes again, and the kid is smiling. So then you have to ask yourself, would this be a good point of view? So that's my question to you. Would this be a point of view for virtual reality? So are the people saying yes? You say yes. And why do you think this is a good point of view in VR?
Because, there is like some landscape somehow.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff changing. And probably you have a few different types of information here and there. And you can relate somehow, stitch it by yourself.
What do you mean by stitching?
Like, having, seeing
Okay, but that's it's about the point of view itself.
Okay, the point of
So
view, little
you as a
bit.
viewer would see the point of view from the kid. So actually this
Okay, but
would that be a good VR point of view shot?
what if okay, just a question, huh? What if you can see you understand that you're in a box,
Mhm.
and then you understand what's happening outside, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. So the interesting part is, can we understand this scene? Eh? And more important is, can we understand the emotion of this scene? So in this scene, the emotion, and it's actually about the relationship between this kid and his father. So it's the father making the kid happy in a very nasty situation. So if you would be in this point of view, we probably would get that it's in Auschwitz and that it's a father trying to make someone laugh or doing something funny. But we would be the kid, and probably we wouldn't feel the same emotion. Why not? It's because we need to see this kid to understand the relationship between them. It's about the father and the son. While in the other point of view, it is not about the relationship between those two persons. It's those two persons that are immersed in this very dangerous situation with all the zombies around them and making it very nasty. So, well, of course, this is not exact science or something, but it is what I was trying to do this last year, is to see these point of views and checking for myself, would this be good in VR? Because I think that's important also as game developers, that if you make a character for your VR, that you need to think about, okay, what's the emotion and story of this character, and is this good to do in VR? Is this too complex or not? Mostly that the most is if it's more dramatic and more about the relationship between persons, you probably need close-ups of these persons looking at each other. The only way to do that in VR is if you make third-person VR, so that you as a viewer are not part of anything and just looking around. But then you will lose every power of a close-up, so that won't be a good solution either. So that was the first thing I noticed. I noticed, okay, I have to do point of view, because it's a glass and you sit on and you watch through the eyes of someone. So making this very static VR where people are just walking around the camera, it's cool and we can do some things with it, but that won't be very important. That won't be very different from normal movies. And second of all, it has to be immersive, a word we read a lot about, but has to fit in the story. So that's one of the things that was very important for us. And that brings us to another question. It's also a question that is not completely answered yet, so it would be nice if you all, because this is a workshop and we can discuss with each other, that's the point. So if at any moment I say something and you want to react, please raise your hand. But what is the role of the viewer in the story? So it doesn't matter if it's game or movie, but what is the viewer? We have different types of it. So the viewer can be a ghost and cannot be present at all. It can be, like the fly in the wall. The viewer can be there, but he can be interactive, so actually passive interactive, or we can have a very interactive, so an active interactive viewer, so that really does things and makes some things change.
Mm.
Of course, something that's only possible in gaming. So probably the most of you have seen a lot of VR. So the VR you have seen, is it mostly about you being someone, or you seeing things in 360 around you without being someone? In the filmic things, so not in the games.
360.
So 360, and you're not someone.
Just looking flying or
Yes, you're just flying while it's a.
sport.
And this is also in the gear, or you see some things on Facebook or YouTube also.
Yeah, but can we say it's filming, because when you record with nobody, it's not in aim to do a movie, to do a story, and so there is no 360 where you are out of someone when it's a story. It's also all time recording something. But when you do a story, like 80% of the stuff is inside someone.
So it's
because you were asking if you see a movie and film about the two parts in or out of the guy.
Yes, I asked what you see the most. Is it when it's everything around you, or you being a person, or someone?
So I would say being in a person.
You've seen, that's the most you've seen.
Yeah, in story and movie.
Mm-hmm.
In 360 simple video, I mean in general, yeah, it's outside of the people because we don't have the budget to make a story about the people.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yes, what we see the most now is that it's more just 360. So it's like you use the tripod and you put the camera on there and everything's happening besides, and you're another person. So with this can work when you do it with your smartphone, and you can go around and you see, and it's nice, and it's on Facebook, and you can click and drag around. But if you see this on a Gear VR or an Oculus, this is very, very weird, because you wear something, you are in the situation, but you are not someone, and they are not interacting with you, and then if there is a cut, you actually teleport from one place to another. So we think this is not the solution. We think it's more important to, you know, have a body and feel like you're someone and you're there, and people don't ignore you.
Just a question. Okay, it's open. Have you tried porn movies in VR? No, I mean because you are someone, I mean, somehow, and yeah, it's an open question, really.
I haven't, but if there's anyone here who can share his experiences, we have seen. Well, there are some point of view movies, like most of you will probably know Verse, VRSE. I don't know. I actually don't know how to pronounce it. And so they have this movie Catatonic. So maybe some of you see it. You?
You're very big to download on your phones.
Yes. So it's actually you in this psychiatric building, and you're in this wheelchair. You're dead, and they go in. And then that's adds something to my experience, because then I think, my hands are very weird right now, and I probably am an old dude. And when you look back, there's this big black angry guy walking with you. No, and this is doing something with me. I can say this is more VR, because that's the other question. What's VR? What's 360? Is it the same? Is 360 the medium to make VR, or what is it? And 360 is it's that the movies are all around you, but that's more like 3D. It's just a technical detail. It's VR, so virtual reality, so it should feel like a reality, and to feel like you're in a reality, maybe that means that you should be in there really and be something or someone. It's also probably a lot of you know Oculus Story Studio. It's Sascha Unselt, I think is one of the most important guys over there. They have a blog where they release everything they know, and they said while making their first VR movie, they said we made a mistake by not letting the viewer be in there, and by not letting our characters interact with it. So they made this movie about a forest. It's a forest, and there's this robotic hand, and it's crawling around. And in the first version, people, they put on their glasses after 1 minute, and they said it's boring. Why am I watching this? It's a robot hand crawling around the forest. And so they changed it, and now in the first, I think 10-20 seconds, the hand comes, and it comes very close, and then it ticks you, and then it goes away. And then the viewer is like, what happened? I want to see it. What is this? And that makes it interesting. So also, imagine we're making this Sherlock Holmes movie. So you're as a character, you are there. And in the first version, well, you may have a body, so you're someone, and there is Sherlock Holmes around you, and you're sitting here in this chair, and he's talking to someone over here, and he's saying, there's going to be a bad guy here, we have to catch him, we have to look around and see where he is and what he does to catch him. And then they start, and a lot of people come in, and after all, it seems that there is over here a bad guy, and he kills a lady or something. Would we care that all this happens? So okay, it's 360, but you know, we don't have any close-ups, we don't have this cutting, it's just like we're in this theater, and it's nice, but in a theater they probably do it better. But what if in the second version Sherlock Holmes would be here and he would turn to you and he would say, you know what, I have to go over there, but you know, you have to listen very carefully and see if you see someone. Then you as a viewer might have be triggered, like, okay, now I have to do something. Now Sherlock Holmes is wanting me to find the bad guy. No, and that's these first seconds when you take your viewer and you pull them in this movie, you know. And I think that's also very important while making VR. And it doesn't matter what kind of VR you make, but that you catch the viewer. In cinema they do it with a good shot or with this good opening line. In House of Cards it's the main character, he sits at the ground and he kills a dog, and then you as a viewer you get attracted by this character. It's interesting. So in VR we lose our storytelling techniques, so we need to find these new storytelling techniques. And I think you cannot not use interaction and subjective storytelling, because that's what a virtual reality is actually about. So that was like the first thing that was really important for us to tell about, and what we actually found out. So this,
for example, for travels, I saw some films about travel. It was on Machu Picchu.
Yes.
I found it was nice, even if it was 360. But you had someone speaking and saying things about what you are looking at. It's 360 degree, but you are not interacting with someone else. But there is anyways of feelings when. That's my impression.
No, that's first. Maybe I should know this. I'm a little bit more talking about fiction and entertainment,
Okay.
and I think a documentary can work very good without in these interactions. So I've seen a lot of things from Verse, and I think Fisheye in Belgium did something in Syria with the local Flemish newspapers. So indeed, these things they can work because it's the environment. So you're in the environment, and that's something that a normal movie can too. So of course that's very interesting. But you know, you can also do different things with it. If you talk about Machu Picchu, you know, maybe it's interesting to put as our all productional things, but to be as this I think it's Incas over there. To be like an Inca over there, and you see these all people everything happening around you, and then at the end you go a little bit back, and then everything changes, and it's Machu Picchu in 2016, and then or something. So that's what I meant about the content. If we do just the same things as we would do with 2D, then we have to make sure that there's enough reason to do so, because we lose so much technique, so much camera techniques and lighting techniques that we have learned. So the step to lose them and to go 360 has to be worth it. And indeed, the Machu Picchu, which made by Chant, I think that it's talked about, it's nice and it brings me to Machu Picchu, but it also doesn't bring me there, because I think in VR it can really bring me there even more, and it can let me do things there.
Maybe also something penetration, like if you've done 5 your experience, if you've done 100, it's not the same. It's harder to be involved and in there if you've already seen everything. Whereas if you have interaction or some kind of bringing the viewer in, not as a third party but really in the scene, no matter how many experience you've done, then you have to take part. If you've seen 5 or 10 experiences and you see Evan Grand Place as the first experience, it's like it's still you there. But I think once you've done quite a few, just having some view of an interesting place is not enough anymore. That maybe you have some kind of habituation of the media.
Yes, that's indeed. I think we need to make the story techniques good enough for people to last, because we're not investing all this time and money in something that's just a gimmick. You know, we have to make it further, and with the movie we could cut to these shots for the researcher when he's telling about things and he lets see things, and that's also things we lose in VR. So again, then we have to think about what would be nice. I would love it if I was into a museum here in Brussels and it's about this Incas, and I could put a headset on and be one for 2-3 minutes. It would learn me more than these long documentaries of 10 minutes, which have to tell me a lot and can't do the same things. Okay, so this second
do 360 movie are enough because like you said, you say, oh, it could be cool to be in this ancient civilization, but the problem is that you cannot interact, you cannot choose, you cannot be informed and move around, because there is game that use 360, and I have an idea in mind. It's a game about South Korea, and they explain the difference between border, and they switch from view to view, speak to you, and then let you the time to think about it and to rewatch something or to change subjects, stuff like that. And we don't have that in movie. And don't you feel it's a bit messy? How can you deal with this?
Yes, I think. Were you going to respond on this or something else?
Yeah, it's, what I would do if I just have the data here for work, to take 360 videos. If I were to want to, it's a quirky attempt, but to bring some interaction with simple things with just video, then I make the movie, like I do short shots, and then I branch. Like, okay, if the person's weighs yes to the question I'm asking, then I go in this direction and I display those 10 seconds. You can kind of like the old books, like where you had to pick the next page based on a decision. You could do that today to have a kind of interactive video form.
Yes, indeed. So what you're telling is indeed an interesting point that we encountered some time ago. So we're actually evolving more into non-linear storytelling. So it's not only on VR, but we've seen this also in documentaries and movies sometimes. And it has been tried a lot. So what you can do is like the spider web, where you start at one point and you can go, some viewers can go to here, some to here. But the problem a little bit with that is they've tried it like 100 times, and you have to make a lot, and there's a chance that a viewer will never see 90% of what you've made, and you really lose a lot about your main goal, your main line that your screenplay, the writer has thought. So they have a solution for that, but that's also not a perfect solution. Is that you start at this point and you can go bigger, and at the end it will be again at the same point, and you can do this for the whole movie or in different key points. But that's these are these quick solutions that are not completely the real solution. So they're still trying to find this out. But I'm going to say something now, and I think it might be a little bit an answer to your question, because interactivity indeed is difficult. If you would, in a movie, you cannot directly interact. There are some technologies that might come a little bit closer to that. But then we're going really, really into a game. And then it's the question, is this still a game? Or is this a movie with really a game interaction? Or is it a game with really cinematic content? So that's something different. So we also thought about how can we make this 360 more storytelling and more different from the others. So what we did was we put it in the same scenes, multiple storylines. So storylines that are about the same things, but that influences your perception on the scene. So what's the story about? The story is about this guy, he's called Gust, and his brother has gone to a cult, a weird cult of weird people, 1 year ago, and now his girlfriend is pregnant, and he wants his brother back. And he is going to infiltrate anonymously in this cult. And then, this you get as an introduction. You as a viewer, you start looking through his eyes and you experience for 10 minutes his adventures. So what do you see? So it's actually the purpose that you as a viewer watch this movie 2 or maybe 3 times. And from every time you watch exactly the same thing, but you're starting to see new things. And these new things give you a new idea about what's actually happening. So in this first scene, here, we have a woman, and she's drinking a cup of wine, and she's saying, "Hi, welcome, I'm very glad you're here, I love you," and blah blah blah. And she even comes sitting at your knees, and she's smiling, and you know, this is a very happy scene. But when you watch a second time, or even a third time, you see that, oh, at the beginning, more. So she's standing right next to here. You know, she walks to here and you follow her because she's like the main character and she's very imposant and she's a beautiful girl. And you see this guy coming at the right of you. And I don't know if you can see it very good. Let's try. So what he actually does is he takes this blood bag of you. And then, when he has it, then he walks over there and he takes the cups from where they drink. And he puts your blood in the cups. So actually, the woman that you tell us, oh, she's drinking a nice cup of wine, she's actually drinking your own blood. So that will be, at the end, the clue of the whole movie, that in every scene, there are things that changes your perception of the scene. So, also over here, you see these two people, you know, they're fighting and it's his father, and you think, oh, it's a father and their son, and they're having this argument, and they're not happy with each other. But actually, when you look very closely, and I will try to do this in a 360 player, you see that there is a little girl in the corner of the room, and she's holding a paper. She's holding a paper. I think. So this is low quality here, and it's Dutch, but it says run. So
what?
It says run.
Run.
Run. It's on the paper. So.
And don't blink.
So actually, it's nice because you have different types of scenes, and you follow them, and you think, okay, this is happening, and everything around it is nice. But when you watch second times, you get this audio which takes your attention to other things, and this changes your perception of the scene. And at the ending scene, it's even worse, because here's the guy, it's a man in front of you, and he gives you something to eat, and when you look down, you actually see that they've cut your legs. So, it's actually you're eating your own legs. To make it even worse, we have this woman behind you. So, you don't see her in the beginning because, you know, you're not looking at your back. But if you would see, then you would see that she's actually eating out of your head. So it's very nice for people because they look the first time and they're looking at this, and okay, this is starting to get creepy, but they have no idea of what's happening. And then they heard this audio, they look around and they see this really crazy woman that in the beginning was a nice woman who was drinking some cup of wine with you and having fun. And then, you know, things get very, very ugly. And, you know, she cuts your head. And yes, that's not going. So you can see it's your body over here, and they eat you alive. So these are things that's nice in VR, because at first they're very immersive. You know, they get your head, you get underwater, they eat of your head. You think your own legs are cut. But second of all, you watch this movie for the first time and you think, oh, it's a nice movie, it's a nice group of people. And the second time you're like, oh my god. I want to put this up.
It's interesting because I think that you can replace the lack of interaction that you have when you are in a 360 environment with some creative, with some tricks, creative tricks and so on. You can substitute that lack of and really to feel immersed and interacting actually with the environment. Are the storyboards very different where you are doing this kind of production?
Yeah.
Different than the normal ones, than the 2D?
Storyboards, you mean when I work out? Well, not very nice ones. It's just me on a paper and crunching things. Well, I do have some. I have a lot of ground plans where I drew every character and what was happening around. And what we also did is I will try to. I think it's somewhere in the thesis. What I did is I made schedules of when something was happening where in 360 to get like this 360 map which told me how many things were happening. So it's like here. So here I have these key points. I'm not going to explain a lot because it's going to sound very boring. So these are the 5 main actions. These actions are in every storyline. And then I have these 3 storylines and a color for every character. And then I can see, okay, this character, the blue one, it's probably Merla, I think, yes. She's the first storyline. But the yellow character is actually more storylines together. And when at this moment you can place everything around you. And that's very important. So I think it's over there for the question. When they ask indeed how it's about with the interaction, you can go very interactive, but in a different way. So in this way, the viewer doesn't have just to look around, but while he's looking around, he's putting pieces together and really thinking about what happened and why something happened, and what the influence on the story might be. So this is the interaction, and we tested it. We need to test it a lot more with a lot of other people. But we see the people reacting very happy to it because it's funny that in the same scene they turn around and then suddenly they do like this and they grab their head and and this is a way of new storytelling, I think.
I thought about it now because you see how people react, but I was wondering because you've seen you know the movie by heart. When people turn around, you remember, so you know where they're looking at, and you know about the timing more or less. And I was wondering if you stream it, let's say on YouTube, can you get data on where people are looking at? Because if you can get data on where people on average are looking in that direction, then their attention is drawn there, and you can use something in the back or some sound to draw them back.
So you know if your scene is working or not.
Yes.
Yes. So that's very nice that you asked this. Because we use this, I was actually going to talk in 10 minutes about this. Indeed we went further with this. So we thought this was nice, but this was not complex enough. Because in life you have different steps of evolution, and every step get more complex. Its intelligence gets better, actually. And I see this as a photo, you film, and then you have VR. And so the VR of now is lacking this new intelligence part. So that's also another chapter in my thesis. It sounds very cool. It's less cool than it sounds. But we actually gave this movie some kind of artificial intelligence. So what it is actually that the movie is in an application. So it's not a video file anymore, but it has a lot of coding. I didn't do it myself. And the application every time, at every frame, knows where you are looking at and what you have already watched. And in this way, it anticipates on your viewer. Because we have participation, which is cool, but we have also anticipation. And the difference is that in participation, you have 2 problems. The first problem is that the viewer knows that it's participation, so it knows that it's doing things. And the second problem is that it has to do things, and people don't like to do things because they're lazy sometimes. So with anticipation, you do not have this problem. It's actually the moving is using the turning of your head, which you're already doing, to know things and to make decisions. So what it does is it has a story point system, and it always calculates in what storyline you're looking, at which things you're looking. And it knows that if, okay, my viewer is looking over there, there's this dialogue, but he has already seen it, he has to look there, and he's not looking there, he's going to make the volume of this audio higher to draw the attention of the viewer to there. And in the first time, he will not do that, he will make it quieter, so that your viewer does not look over there. And if you're in the first storyline and you're actually watching everything in the second storyline, then the application will stop drawing you into storyline 1, but will change everything to storyline 2. So it's actually anticipating. What this creates is it's not just a linear movie anymore, but it's more like some kind of story world. You know, it's a world and there are happening a lot of things, and you're the behavior of you as a viewer that will change this world, and it will actually change things and let it adapt to your behavior. And in this way, you as a director, you can tell a lot of different things, because you can change the relationship between things. You can anticipate on that. So thanks for the for the assist, as we call this in soccer terms. But you know, it's very experimental, and we do not know for 100% sure if this will be it or work very good. But you know, we thought, you know, we had to try different things. We had to go some more complex than it's now, because now it's more just the movie in 360 around you, and it's not a new level.
So that's quite interesting, because I was trying to understand the differences between the 2D and the 3D. 2D, okay, you got a frame, but here in 3D you still have a frame somehow, because you direct the person. You know, I mean the 360. Sorry, the 360 you still have a frame somehow because of this anticipation.
Yes, and the nice thing is, because there's a lot of criticism on directing the viewer in VR, because they're more like, and it's a very interesting question, why let we just the viewer decide, because now this is a medium where you can look around, so why do we have to steal this from him? And that's indeed a good point. You know, when you have 360, you don't want him to in the first minute watch there, and in the second minute do this, because then you can use again. You just use normal cameras and it would be a lot beautifuler. So the directing of the attention depends on his behavior and at which point in the story he is looking. So he can watch for the first 10 seconds there, but he also can watch there. And these are different storylines, but they will at the end tell the same, and they're still directed. So we have the directing of the viewer, but it doesn't matter actually in which direction, because we change. We let the movie change its storyline to it.
So the storyline, you mean that some actor act some story here and other here. So when you look here, you have a different story from this view.
Yes, but the stories, they're all part of course, of the same bigger story. So it's indeed what you say. So it's in the first scene, this would mean you can look here to the woman that's saying hi to you, but you can also look back, and then you have these three people having a discussion and arguing, while you can look over here, and this is a very creepy guy that is walking slowly towards you, and those are different things, and you still, we try to direct you, but in this directing, it still can be that the viewer chooses from for himself, and that's not a problem, because the movie will anticipate on that.
Are there multiple storylines? Purely based on the user? Are they purely initiated by the user, or does it also count how many times you viewed, and then sort of nudge you towards the second storyline at the start of the second viewing, let's say?
So we do have to have a chronological order in which he should have seen things.
Yeah.
So we really try to do it 1, 2, 3, and if the scene at the set is really directed into that. But if the viewer starts with 2, then the application will do everything to get him into 1.
Okay.
Even if it's scene 3, it will also go to 1.
But so there is a counter, like every time you launch the app. starts
yes,
with
yes.
number one and then
It knows it. We have this tag and it's storyline 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
But you can watch one for 5 times. It's you have to get the score. You have 66 story points for one,
oh,
and only if you have 40 on 66 you will get a check mark on one.
so that's how you encourage people
Yes.
to sort of go looking for.
Yes, indeed, and it's very nice because it's a combination of film, theater, and also gaming now because it has levels you have to complete, and to make it more for a viewer to really want to do this, we made a goal. So, and with a goal, there is a reward, and the reward is an ending scene. So only if you've watched all the storylines, you get the absolute ending scenes. You've seen here that the HUD is cut off. You only get that when you've watched everything. Because in the first storyline, if your head is cut off, you know something's wrong. You can't have that. So the movie will fade out the first time, and the second time when you've watched it, then it's check. And then you'll see it. So the viewer will have the credits and everything only when you've watched everything.
Yeah. Nice.
So even if you close the app, it will still know, and then you can press continue or something, and then it's gone. You know, it's a little bit easy right now, but you know we can go very far in it. We just only had 4 or 5 months to do this.
Yeah, there is a guy who said something very interesting in the Unity of this year. He was presenting 360, and she said, when you look at 360 video, it's shit for publicity, you know, because you have to do a lot of stuff to just one thing, look at one thing. But after that, she said, okay, but no, because in 360 you can look 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the same story and hide hints and stuff like this. So you can do a story with where you do not have everything by the character and by what they will say, but you can continue the story by looking the painting, or looking on the paper on the table, or as you did a little girl with the paper hide in the scene. You can do a rewatchable movie, and it can be very cool.
Yes, I think it's called the Easter eggs. They call it in
In
normal
your stuff
movies.
it's a Easter egg, yeah.
Yes, and also you can give more information, and some viewers will watch it 2 times and they will only have the main thing. But that's also now. Some people watch Game of Thrones 1 time. Some people watch it 10 times and they write 100 papers. So
the credits, you gain them just by viewing the scenes, or there are some like a puzzle or something like questions or.
Well, no, yes, it's if you watch it good, you will get all the points.
What does it mean to watch it good?
So if you watch, I've show it. Oh, yeah, I can show it over here.
To pay attention to the right.
Yes, the movie knows. Okay, if the viewer is watching from the minute 1 to minute 1:30 in the north, then he gets 10 points for storyline 1. If at that time he's watching in the south, he gets 10 points for storyline 2. So, and at the end, the counter will check. Okay, what are the points of every storyline and how much storylines are completed. If 1 is 20 on 30 and 2 is 10 on 30, then only 1 will get a check mark. So I think maybe have something. So this is in Unity. So it's what we did is there has to be a better way to do this. I really hope so. We made every direction, so from north to west. North should be here, but I had some problems with my viewing and I didn't know how to change it. And we made an object of every character, and it moves around. So what we did for that was I wrote down when I watched the movie from, okay, this character is walking in 10 seconds to there, then it waits 20 seconds, then in 3 seconds it walks to there. There has to be another way.
Tracking. With video tracking.
Yes, with video, but I didn't know how to combine video tracking in Unity. And sometimes it's just easier to do this. I know I call it the Chinese work to faster. Maybe I have a little video to show it. I think yes, or maybe I have one with people. Yes.
So I heard about Unity for games, but it's also used for video.
Yeah, but I think it's nice because that's but the complexity I think that has to change.
Yes.
When you are just this flat 360 videos, it's not good enough.
You could write a script and sort of you running through the movie can look at where somebody should look and record your position of your head and just use this data to make a zone of where people have to watch. That may be.
Yes, if you can do it, I think you can do it, but I don't know how. Just I'm not a computer engineer.
No, but behind, so maybe you have, for example, your 360 video, and then you put some transparent object like a sphere or something like this that's just not visible. And as soon as you do raycasting, you intersect the object. Okay, you're looking for this object for each second, and that's it.
And instead of having to animate the object moving through the scene, you can just record it like once with just tracking where your head is while you, the director.
Because what you say is what we used. So we placed, you can see it here, I press play, so this object, they move around the sphere, and indeed the raycaster is every frame checking which object is in there, but now we have to time everything exactly with some waypoint manager, and I really don't like it. So, but this, we had this for the audio, and now we also had this for the storylines, because they can always check now what's where. And that's also important, as I said, for audio, because a lot of people are trying to do nice things with video, but they completely lose the audio. And we learned actually, and I'm really convinced of that it's the audio who will be the director. It's the audio, okay, you have the play of the characters and the lighting, but it's the audio that can make you look at somewhere. So now we have 360 audio because there are audio files linked to the characters. And the audio files, as I told, they change to every storyline. So indeed, if I want you to turn to the right, and I will go this volume up, it will volume up when I want to. Only if the viewer has seen enough that this volume can go up. So that's it, and it's very nice in Unity because Unity has already a lot of parts programmed inside it.
So the dialogue per character is recorded separately and then played within the application.
Yes,
from
we
vantage point of,
we have 24 different audio files, and that's not a lot actually for a movie. So indeed, you should record everything separately. That's called spatial audio, and then you can play a lot with it because you can play just in the scene with it and make it 360 to direct. But as we tell, for every storyline you can change them over time.
Did you use any of the audio during the acting recorded during the recording of the video, or is it all recorded afterwards?
No, it's on the set. So the dialogues are all on set. But what we do is we used a lot of Foley for movement. So in a normal movie, when a person the walking, you will not hear that a lot because that's not very nice. But in VR, it works perfectly if you hear someone walking, and it makes you come to life. So what we had 4 ambients. So these are just north, east, south, west. And if you look around you, they change a little bit. And there's the normal room tones, we call this. Then we had 5 main characters, and they had their different audio files. And then we had one, the FX audio file, which is a clock sticking, the fire of a fireplace burning or something. And this makes your movie come to life. It really, it does a lot. An interesting hint is also when you're directing something, you have to make sure that the viewer has enough time to look. So my viewer is looking over there, and I want him to look to the right. Then I have to make some audio come from the right. But I have to know that my viewer has to hear it, think about it, and then move his head. This will cost you 5 seconds. So if the audio and the action you want the viewer to see is happening at the same time, your viewer will miss it, and he will never have seen it. So if you do it, you have to go 5 seconds back in time, put an audio there, so that when the viewer has looked, he is there, and then your action should happen. So our problem with the blood bag was that, we had this sound coming from it, and then the viewer looked, and the guy was already gone. No one had seen it. While the girl with the paper, you hear they're arguing, the others, and then you hear someone writing, and you look and you see this girl, and you're looking and you don't know what, and then she turns the paper, and then you have your viewer. So it's also a tip. So in VR, know that it's not a movie. It's not the rhythm of the movie is way slower than in just in VR than in a normal movie, and you have to keep that in mind when directing it. And a good check for this is actually when you're making a VR movie, in the last rehearsal, before you go to capturing it, remove the camera, and as a director, go and sit at the place of the camera and do exactly the same as your camera would do. So that I have this camera operator in a suit, and he has the camera over here, and they're doing a lot of things. At a certain moment I said, okay, you can go away, and I was going to sit on the chair, and the characters are taking me, and I'm walking with them. So then I can know as a viewer from, okay, does this work? Do I want to look to the right? Do I want to look to the left or not? Do I feel like I am here or not? So that's with when you're directing with the audio, that can be a good check for you to see if your scene is working.
I have a question, because I am beginner. It's maybe a dumb question, but is there a way that some kind of movie just start when you just shift the head? It's continuously moving while you are when you are looking around. All the other things are moving, even if you are just how to say that?
Yeah, so it's freeze-framed around you, and when you look at it, then it starts playing.
Yes.
Well, I think there are technical ways to do it, but if you are, you have a character moving around in a camera, then it would be very difficult because only the left is moving and not the right. So you can do that in static scenes, but well, you could try it, but I think that why not let everything happen at the same time as it's in real life? So, but you can try, of course. I have a photo, I hope, from the camera operator, because only 4 people have seen how our camera looks like. So, that's him. It's a guy in a suit, and he wears the camera. I think maybe I haven't even. So this is actually also good. So this is him, and then we have the GoPro over here. So and the nice thing with this is, you can walk around as much as you can. You can do a lot of things. You can go under tables, in water, and it's a very flexible suit. And so, like here, this when your head gets cut off, then you see your, the other parts of your neck over there, very bloody. It makes it realistic. And also, this is your hair. So if you look up, you see that, she has your hair, and she's taking your head and putting it in the middle of the table. So these are also things, you. It sounds really crazy, I know.
What is it actually? Is it like a broom or something?
No, it's really human hair.
Oh, nice.
We put it out of someone of the crew. No,
I just need this.
No, you can buy this. But this actually we did it not very good, because this is actually hair from a black woman. This curly hair, and we had a guy with small brown hair, so this was not very in, but no one cared. But it's important that you, as a director or a storyteller, you need to think about these things and about this immersion. And I really don't like it when I see that people just make a tripod and they do it on it, and then they go away and say, I don't care anymore, because that's not VR, I think. And I think these things, they just come a little bit closer,
How did you direct this movie? Because usually you have a set and you have the camera and you have everyone behind. So would it be just the cameraman and you were away during the scene being played?
May I do a photo to that screen, or is it a secret?
Yes, no, you can.
Okay, so you won't have to kill me after this.
No, just say Marijn no, I will show a picture that would explain that.
So you
you are using a GoPro. I heard about other devices like the Nokia.
Well, Nokia
what?
would be very nice. The problem with with the directing is that you as a viewer, as a director, you can't preview what you're making. Well, there are camera systems now that can do this, but with the GoPro, it's not very easy to do that. So indeed, that's a problem, and you also have stitching errors, which you have a lot. And Nokia also is something that is really a better way to do it because it's more. You have to pay a lot more,
Yes, I know.
of course.
60,000.
But we had a very easy solution to this. So I don't find the photo. So as you can see over here. So this is a Theta, and what we do is we took our GoPro mount and we placed Theta on it, and the Theta could live stream to our smartphone, and then I still could see in 360 what I was making, because the Theta would disappear in the stitching lines, so you would never see it. So that was a creative solution. It's not perfect because they had a Wi-Fi connection. It's not a very good connection, but no, it helped.
Did you stream video?
What?
You were streaming photos or video?
Video.
In real time?
Yes, from the Theta.
The quality is very bad, but just enough to preview.
Yeah.
And but the problem is that the size of the Wi-Fi is not good enough. I think.
No, it's
you
terrible.
have to be very close or hide somewhere.
Yeah, so yeah, I was in the next room and then I had very bad, so I had to hide under tables and everything. It was not nice. What our audio team also did was they made this very good directing self for me, so that I could really hear the audio very good. And from the audio, I could hear the play of the actors, so I could check that. What we also did is we hide a GoPro over there, so we could watch the choreography.
So, for instance, I mean, it might be very difficult to see an entire scene being played 360 wise, and you have to watch it many times after you decide to remake it, or?
Yeah, that's indeed. That was a very important question. So we haven't had a perfect solution to that. The idea is with the GoPro that you have the choreography of the full set. I mean, if you GoPro in the top of the building, right, to see everything. That was nice, and we were with two directors.
Okay.
So I was the main director, but I had the film director to go with the play of the actors. So he was more the artist who checked if everything was okay in the story, and I checked all the choreography, you know. And we rehearsed it a lot. So we did with stand-ins. We went days by practicing, so that I could check if all the storylines fitted together, and then the actors in front, they practiced, so that on set we only had to keep in control over the technical. No, even not the timing anymore. They knew the timing. They had rehearsed it. They knew it perfectly how to play it. You need to do that. And so, as I said at the last rehearsal, put the camera away and look at yourself. Go standing at the place of the camera, and then you can check.
So now, just to finish, do you think that from a theater, you know, a normal traditional theater, there is a big link with this 360?
Yes, it's the combination of the three. You know, we have the visual style of film, we have the play from theater, and we have the complexity and interactivity of the game.
So that would make the specificity of the 360.
What?
That would make the specificity of the added value of VR 360.
Yes, I think it's the adding the theater and gaming part to it. Because we make VR. It's a Dutch VR company. They made a screenplay and they gave it to a VR director, film director, and a theater director. No, the VR director was very young, so he fucked it up. The film director was way too quickly with everything, and you know, you were doing this to follow the story. And the theater director did it very good.
I agree.
So it was actually the best way to direct it is in a theater style.
And how many time you think a 360 movie should be? 1 half hour, 10 minutes,
How
20
long?
minutes? How long?
Well, at first you had to watch it 3 times, so it watched 30 minutes, but it's too long. it's we have now 20 minutes, and that's really perfect. You know, people come out of it and they still say, "Well, was it 20 minutes? It's 10 minutes." What they should say after they watch the movie, but they said for motion sickness and everything, it's okay. So they didn't have any headache. Some people, and so I think 20 minutes is a pretty good balance.
Are there any major changes you made, like sitting in the chair and then seeing the play around you, like things that you anticipated would work in this 360 environment, but then when you sat there and followed the story, you said, okay, I have to change something to make this more clear?
Yes, it was indeed. So in the first scene, and the chapter is sitting here, and there's a lady, and she's in front of you, and then she steps a little bit to here. And maybe you've seen it, and then she drinks. But over there were the people in the discussion. So, but the distance between here and here was, 30 degrees was not enough. So I thought, like, I'm not going to look at someone drinking, they're fighting over there, I'm going to see the fight. So that was something, the specialty of the environment, of the set, I changed and I really put it over there in the background.
Yeah.
But that's something, if you're looking from this point of view, you would never notice it, never. It's only because I was sitting there that I felt that I was more attracted to this scene than to this. That was one of the things. One of the other things is it's a timing. With the paper of run, I really did not want to see that people see this in the first run. So there was again fighting people. I like fighting people, and only when they really started fighting, she shows the paper. Because when they're just talking, some people they don't like to see people talking. So only when they're fighting, she shows it. So that was one. Two things they changed. Some other questions about this?
So you also have to place a limit on the number of actions at the same time happening.
Well, you need to decide in what format and how important the actions are. And they also don't need to be actions. They can be visual hints. If you really want your viewer to watch it only 2 times or so, that's really what you want. You need to make sure that he's able to watch it. If you let too many things happen around him, then he might lose control of it. Because another dangerous thing is that if there's so much happening around him, you lose the directing part, because he's just doing this and going to watch what he likes the most. Also with the audio, if you have 2 couples or 6 couples talking, then the audio difference is not going to change your viewing. And what you also can do, what I did is, I did some visual hints. So things you don't have to see them in the first or second run, but maybe you see them, maybe you will never see them. And it is, like here you have photos, and these photos are other people that are already killed as your brother. So you might see it, you might not see it, but it gives a hint. But the thing is with this, it doesn't kill the other storylines. It's not a dangerous thing. You can add it, but you can't. It's also the same with this guy over here. There are a lot of other things happening, but he's coming. He's coming closer and closer. But the interesting thing is that all of our female watchers between the age of 16 and 25, they really don't like him because they really think he's dangerous, and it's maybe because they are more used to checking if some creepy guy is coming to them. So these are things, but it makes it more immersive because they can look at the story, but they also can look at a different way, and it will still tell the story about this creepy kind of people, but it will do something.
It's funny that you mentioned this creepy guy and you give ages and sex, because I was going to ask, all this is, it's starting to be pretty complex, and I'm wondering how culture agnostic it can be, because if you have some things that are really like for a certain demographics and pay certain attention to certain things and really not to others, you have to really understand the public pretty well, and how they will pay
Yes.
attention to its psychology.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
you're not independent from it, because they are actively participating in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It depends on who your viewer is.
If you think the same thing you show to Japanese public, maybe they're going to react quite differently based on social attitudes.
Yeah, maybe, but you know that's also the same with movies. For some part.
Yeah, but you're in movie. You have like the thing for the horses. You know that
Yeah.
it's like this, and with 360 you're like no. You're
This
Yeah,
may be.
fully control.
On the other hand, I mean, that may be the future of VR movies. I mean, you can say, okay, this movie is for demographics, young girls between 15 and 25, from West London, for instance, or something.
Yeah, you can play with this. You know, if you have
You must be 18 years or older to
and
turn
no,
it.
young people might be drawn more in the attention of this part, and others maybe on this part. Maybe it gives an interesting point of view because in real life maybe it will also be that way. When you have this clown and people also like the clown, but the clown is actually a very creepy dude who draws too much attention of children or something. That the older people would watch more that part of the story.
I would say it's just the same as in movies. Actually, when people go to see a certain kind of movie according to their demographics.
That's right.
And I think for the biggest directing part, it's like a show. You know, if you go to Disneyland, there and you stand in the middle of the show, you know there are 100 things happening around you, but the director can exactly time that everyone is looking at Snow White, and it's their skill, it's their talent. They have the light, the music, and she's doing and everybody looks at her, and even the 60-year-olds are looking. So that's a power of the artist to understand this language, and in VR it is also that, but we have to still learn how to do this, but we need to make sure that we're not doing the same as we do with normal movies. We need to make a step further and need to think around it as a world. So people of you might have seen the second Harry Potter movie, and in this movie I really like this because there is a book that goes open and he goes in it and he actually relives a memory of a character. And I also see it as this way. It's you don't bring your viewer in a certain story. You bring him in a moment, and in this moment is happening a lot of things. Everything has to live around him, and that's also very important for the director, for the actors, because if some people are fighting over there and he is just this guy standing, no, he has to live. He needs something to do. Maybe he's not in the shot, he thinks, but if the viewer still looks to here, he has to live and he has to do something that for his character makes sense. So that the scene has to live. The story world has to come to life to be good. And then with the technology we can anticipate on this and we can make it more interactive or not. But think from the viewer. A normal director takes a screen and watches what is recorded at that time, and you can't do that, but you need to think as a viewer. How would you look? On what things you would pay attention? What would draw your attention?
Just
these things.
a quick question. I mean, so the main difference between a viewer who would watch a framed movie and another viewer who's within a 360 degrees. So as far as I understand, I mean, so one is more passive. I mean, you just show him what to see. The other would be more active, or is that such a differentiation, or is it more subtle?
I think in a movie you can say it's passive. In a 360, I would say it's passive interactive, and in a game it's active interactive.
Okay.
So I think in 360 you cannot say that a viewer is only passive, because he's looking around. But I don't think you can call him an interactive viewer because he doesn't change the story. It's the way he lives the story or experiences it. And we add more that we change his perception or the feeling how he feels this situation, but it doesn't change the content itself.
And so your view is to make it like a puzzle, I mean, like a jigsaw.
Yeah, that can be. That's what we did over here. No, we wanted to make the world come to life and to give it enough complexity and elements to be interesting. And so our thought was, okay, indeed, let's use it as a puzzle, and the viewer looks a lot around him, but viewers will learn how to watch VR.
That's it.
Now, if you show a scary movie and someone is walking in a dark corridor and the music is dun 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 dun, yeah, I know viewers know that something will happen. For nowadays, something won't happen. I think also that.
In an old PC game for narrative PC game, when you have some video of actors say, okay, you should do this, and then when you select something, the second shot is another scene. So always, if you ask yes, then you have the video say, okay, I can buy you this item, etc. And then when you do the story, you have a different video for the same scene. So can we do that in 360? So if I look at this scene, I can the guys drop some glasses, but just for your attention, and then all the character, when you trigger this, the character all the video change, and then all the character are looking there to make looking there.
So, but what you're saying is that depending on what you watch, actually also the video changes.
The video change to according to the attention you want to give to the viewer.
Yes, so that this idea we did with the audio.
Okay.
So what you said, because first of all for video this would be very hard to do technically, and I think you would lose yourself more in the technical details than in the story. But yeah, then you have to ask yourself, I think this would be more easier to do in a game, or in animated VR, where the character, I think with Henry it's like that he anticipates on what you are doing, and if you're not looking he's doing something else. I haven't seen it yet. We have to find the balance, and we cannot push this film too much into a game, I think, because why are we doing this? This would be with green screens and everything, do these things. If in game it would be more convenient to do so. I think in a movie it's no more about this, the story and what's all happening around you, and what the actors do with you, really their talent to tell you something.
I think the way you can understand it is by thinking about the Hitchcock movies. I think in the Hitchcock movies you cannot say really that the watcher is passive, because he's actually really thinking about what he has learned from the elements of the movie, and it's continuously building a scenario in his head. And it's the same principle here. You put clues, and the watcher build in his head the scenario. And just you have to do is to find the ways to give him the right clues, the right signs. And also, thinking about that, VR is actually an anti-movie completely, because the movie on a frame, the idea is really that the watcher is not in the story. And one of the things which is most of the time completely forbidden in the movie is that the actors look at the camera. That's really something that completely breaks the story, because suddenly the watcher is in the movie and not have the story told to him. And so the VR is completely the opposite. You are in the thing, and you have to be taken by the story. And so yes, it's kind of an anti-movie thing, but with the same base techniques than the movie.
And it's always finding the right balance, I think, between everything and every part of it. some other.
There's no more fourth wall.
Huh?
Fourth wall doesn't exist in.
No.
Breaking the fifth wall, the definition.
Yes, all the walls are gone.
Yeah.
Cool. Very nice. Are the people tired?
I know, come on.
No, come on.
Am I tired?
Do you want to take like a 5 minutes break or something like that? Or?
Oh, I think so. Maybe. Yeah. What we also can do is, in at some point I maybe would like some people start watching the movie.
Yeah.
We have to do this in groups, but it's interesting. If we watch it at the end, then there will be no discussion anymore.
No.
So
Right.
it's nicer to watch him
Can
now.
Can I ask a question before we do all that? It's the gear you have and the light and stuff. It's very expensive now. How my question is same because is it possible to do this kind of stuff to do a game?
Yeah, it of course it is a way we do it a lot.
Yeah.
At universities and schools, so that in one day we do a full workshop.
Yeah.
Or in 2 days. Mostly it's 2 days. Yeah, of course, because it's nice to see something in action. Of
Mhm.
course, I thought for this it was actually too short on time to
Mhm.
do in 2-3 hours, something like that. You would
Yeah.
lose too lot, but no, we can certainly do so.
Okay.
We should discuss this.
No problem.
Okay.
But I think really with the Theta and the laptops, okay, we were not going to look and we're going to use this kind of lighting. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
But for the core principle, I think it's enough to explain.
Yeah, because it must be very. We can learn a lot of stuff by just doing it, and it can be very interesting.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's what I.
But no, in 1 or 2 hours like this, because as you say, we need time.
Yeah, you have already time to think over it. We had
Mhm.
this one, there was the short film festival in Leuven, just sometimes do these
Mhm.
things. And then, but what I did wanted to do was, maybe, because it's already 8:15, so maybe it's interesting to go into groups, maybe, and try to write very short story where the angles decide what the story is. So if you watch to this side, then you get this perception of the scene, and the other side changes it. Just to make this think exercise on how we can do this, and maybe with one of the two, because I think we have to do this in 2 or maybe 3 groups, then we can just play one scene here without a camera, or we can put the data maybe in the middle.
Cool. Yeah.
To see, and then some of us should go inside the camera and then see if it works or not. So maybe we should do groups.
Split.
Okay, maybe I think if you're all joining, then we should read 3. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So put yourself around the table.
You need one more Theta to record or do some stuff.
Cool.
You got mine.
Yes, that would be great if we can record. Yes, put yourself around the table and take something to write. It really doesn't matter for this workshop if it's from a person told or not. It's just about the 360, about what's happening in which corner, in which direction. But try to make a scene that it's nice to learn in university. Add something.
Sorry for the viewer.
So you can't think about scenarios where you have people in groups always.
Do you allow me to record you?
Yeah, I mean, you can think of a lot of like 360 scenes, like an interrogation room or something, or people at the dinner table or something. But if you have a camera in the middle, then you're sort of forced to continuously look around rather than focus on specific parts. But I guess maybe if you have like a dinner table or something, you can have like two people talking to each other.
If you have lots of people talking, it can become looking super boring, or turning your back so you don't really look.
Yeah, or you have like a party scene or something where there's groups of people forming and maybe there's some tension like between people.
I
It's
like
like
the dinner table because you can really focus on different conversations with people, and you can tell different stories in each angle.
Yeah.
So I think that's also easy to record later on.
Yeah, yeah. You can sort of focus on people's interactions. Like
Yeah.
maybe there's just casual conversations and there's some like unspoken tension or something.
Yeah.
And then there's like this one main pivot point where
Yeah.
somebody flips the table or something. Not the camera, of course.
Not with the data on it.
Oh, watch the camera. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it's like, so maybe it's working up to this one thing.
Yeah, a poker game can be good for this. A story about poker game, you are doing the parties game and then the guy says something and it go wrong,
Yeah.
Somebody cheating.
But it's,
Somebody getting caught cheating.
Yeah.
but it's like, then how do you make different like simultaneous storylines on different parts of like the poker table? Like, is that possible or is it by default an interaction between the players all around you?
I mean, to feel the people, like they are playing a game where they are cheating, and then you have 2 or 3 stories developing where they are cheating in life, So one says something about the wife, and they react, and then it's go on something like they've broke a bank, and they come and start to say, oh yeah, but it's your fault, and then you are who are they? What they are doing? Why they are doing poker? Why they have money? Why?
It's like a table of cheaters. Maybe it's like I've never played it, but like maybe it's like a D&D game or something. And then like it's at the end the outburst is like the dungeon master. Like people are just fighting in between each other, and it's like I just wanted an evening of a nice time together, and maybe you guys are all fighting or something. But, I don't know.
What are we trying to get out of it? What's the...
Yeah, I don't think we have to like choose maybe a setting, and then from there on out we can sort of get a story, I guess.
Like the movie that was created, I suppose. There's different points of interest, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you have people sitting around the table, then you have this challenge because it's not different points of interest. It's one point of interest where you have to like,
actions that can change.
It's a bit so you need a scenario where you naturally have like, groups of people.
But at the end you want to...
like a workshop. We can make a super meta story.
Because I like the idea that if we have a big table with that, then you're always in the same story. While when we have different point of interest, then it's like getting out from this story and going to the other story. It just creates a bit more interest, I think.
Yeah.
But it could another way maybe to make it because here it's only fixed point of view, but if you're a waiter, you go from groups to groups, and then you're still in motion, and it's set to 4 from like 5 divisions, so you could be a waiter going from group to group.
Yeah, it could be very good.
But then it's also more of a linear story in that you go to one story and then you go to a different story. And then the 360 can be a bit incidental. Is that possible?
No, but maybe they can call you.
Oh yeah.
Different tables, they can call you and say, there's no point doing one after the other. So just give also a hint to the director just to direct the attention of the guy.
That could be interesting. Like if you actually have like 3 tables, you can sort of record states of the table, and then you can choose like which table you're gonna attend. And if you just ignore one table all the time, then they get more pissed and pissed. And it's actually like doable also, because if they're like in really different positions of the room, you can just record at different times and stitch it in such a way that you can sort of swap out 1/3 of the video. That's kind of cool, yeah. So like your action is being addicted to some table, tables, and being very nice to a different table or something.
Or maybe with the table stuff, it could be cool to do. You have like 5 table. You put a camera on each table, but you hide it. And the idea is that one time in the restaurant, there is one moment where there is action and there's people dying. And you have to know why and who was the guy, and so you have to switch from table to table and listen to the guy and just understand why there is a fight. So in this way you have a 360 video game where you can replay and find and look about detail and understand people and understand who is who. No?
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe there's, I don't know, like 2 rival gangs or something, or and they're like talking between, and every time you go and wait the table, you hear a piece of the story, and it's like,
you watch it a second
oh my
time,
god, it's the
some
Yakuza on the other table or something. And, what are they doing here? They found me. No, hide me between. So, yeah, that's a good one. It's pretty cool. And then in the end, there's a shootout.
With this way, you don't lose a lot of stuff too, because you have to replay. You don't have to warn everything. Everything what's happening. You know.
Can we draw on your?
Yeah, please go ahead.
How does it look like? That's the room. Playing with the person. We have what the board. We can get
first viewing time and second viewing
platter with our bottles and
really decide what you want
and
he would go from let the viewer think for the first time. So that you say that if I ask you what is your viewer thinking the first time, he's an handsome guy. What thinks he the second time? Well, he's dumb. So that's more directing. I think that you can give him freedom, but it's easier for this kind of workshops to make.
How many people do we want to run?
Maybe for the simplicity
maybe have a look at the kitchen. It can be good. So if you see the people cooking, maybe because you know waitress, people that serve food, they listen, and then when they're in the kitchen, they speak about what they listen. You know? This guy is not so he do not even pay for the tip. The last time he was an asshole. This one is good, and so you can have information from your little spy, you know?
Maybe like for simplicity's sake, you have like 2 tables, and then like the story is that there's something going on, like people here sitting here don't like the people sitting there. There's some sort of tension, and you're just caught in the middle of it as the waiter, and they like asking you favors, like, hey yo, I just got something. And you have to like, okay, I'm going to the other table or something, and then you have the kitchen to like get context or like vent to your.
So, what do you guys have?
So there's like it's basically like a setting, not necessarily a story already, but and the idea of a certain amount of interactivity, and that you are a waiter at a restaurant with 2 or 3 tables, and there's some story going on, some tension between the 2 people there, and the idea is that choosing which table you wait or not is going to affect like their mood and the story in a sense. And then the idea that they're spatially separated, so you can also record it twice and just swap out part of the video.
You have
depending on your choices, so that there's like an element of choice.
Yes, that's great. But what we have to do for now is really try to just for the exercise is make it can't be interactive as in a game. The only interactivity that it's here is how you look around. It's because that's more difficult, but more it will learn us more in guiding the viewer. But I too like the waiter part. So, but then you have to decide. Okay, so you have this is the restaurant, and the waiter can walk around, and obviously our viewer will look in the front, and he will always, if he does 1, 2, 3 in this order. Then he will focus more first on this table, then this, then this. But maybe when the second time he watches, when the waiter is standing here, he looks back and then he sees already something happening here. that changes how he thinks about this and this table. You know? Imagine what would do something interesting is when you're over here and the viewer is looking at this table, and then suddenly the people at this table, they start really fighting very a lot, and they're very angry, and it goes to the air, and you know at the end someone shoots the other person and it's done. And when you watch it the second time, is that actually someone of this table has thrown something to the people there, but the people here, they didn't know that it was there, these people, and they start fighting with each other, because then it would change how you think about these people. Okay, it's very simple, but you know, what we try to do is to make this scene where if you watch it second time, you can say, okay, in the first storyline I have this idea of the scene, in the second storyline I think this of the scene. But while the scene is exactly the same.
I just wondering, do you do prototyping in Recall Movie? Because here we are speaking about that, and now I want to try it, but I have to have people doing it.
You have to act.
You have to act, and I'm a freaking asshole in acting. And do you sometimes do a quick movie just to see if it works?
How do you mean a quick movie?
Like you do one day where you try. Okay, you will go there, and you will do something.
Like with puppets or something.
Yeah, but what we do is we stand in, so I just call my friends, and it doesn't, the acting really doesn't matter, it's about timing and what happens, and we record it with a data or something, or, and then we check it,
You could prototype also this kind of thing in a video game setup. If
Yeah.
it's just
Oh,
about the...
If it's just about the...
It could be good, yeah.
And then you can even add some audio and make actually a virtual storyboard, actually.
Yeah, that's also what we did, is if we recorded something with this camera, then we would draw everything like this again and see how what it... So we did this first, then we recorded it, and then we drew it again, and then we saw what the difference were to see, so that the next time we would write a story, we would know more how it would be in VR.
Okay.
But it's really, if you write this kind of scenes, so if you like it or not, it's just for the exercise, you know, you need to can be able to directly answer to this question, the two questions. So, what does the viewer think the first time? What does he think the second time?
But somewhere you also have to, like, this can work very well in certain where the viewer is a certain type of person. By that I mean a person in which the narrative it feels natural that the person doesn't do it, or is in a passive position, right? And that only works in certain narrative structures. Like if you're in a wheelchair and you're not, or you're tied up and you're getting bled or something.
Yeah, that's what we did. So it's a newbie.
So but then it also works a lot better. So if you're like an active waiter, maybe that's sort of, because then you expect interactivity and the ability to make a choice, where you won't be able to do that if the restriction is you are watching the same movie again and you don't change the type of the way that the scene is playing out by where you're looking. You're just getting a different point of view. So you actually need to have a main character that you are, that for some reason that makes sense in the narrative, that doesn't do anything, or is just passive.
Or or that it's logic that he doesn't interact with the other people. So if you were talking about a waiter, I would do like
You have like these traditional like bars, like old pubs, where you get the bar is like this, and the waiter is right here, and you have all these chairs and just people having drinks. And so maybe there's two people here, two people there, and like they're having different conversations and you're following it, and then sometimes they're like shouting at each other. Maybe there's like a football match right here.
Yeah, I really like this setting, because in even with the screen with football, you can do something that actually because
only watch the football.
No, that's at the end it seems that everybody's just fighting because these two were angry that Belgium has lost from Ireland or something. And that's the only thing you see at the end, and then you're like,
It's an Irish pub, and it's Belgium versus Ireland, and you're just trying to be a pacifist waiter cleaning a cup.
Indeed, and then first you need to write this linear. So you start with the Belgians lose from Ireland, and then you go tick 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 tick, and you end with this guy shooting his girlfriend. and then you need to, in VR, turn it around, and then the first thing that the viewer sees is the guy shooting his girlfriend, because it makes a lot of noise, and it's the end. And then the viewer needs to look back and back, he needs to get all the puzzles to actually find out at his back, that Belgium has lost from Ireland.
It's like
No,
hooligans, the
yeah.
worst case scenario, yeah.
But that's more this kind of story. So
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
But it's also nice that like
I
about
hope
setting
for you that today the football they win. As I kill everybody.
Those sweets, man.
I have gun in my pocket.
Like the nice thing about a bar is that like this whole idea of a bar is people go sit and they tell their story to the bartender who sort of just listens. So you can also make these sort of characters that ask a question but then immediately answer themselves like don't answer that and then just start talking about themselves and their lives and like you don't even get a chance to like
About this thing about the multiple stories happening, that you have to look the film twice or 3 times. Don't you think that some viewer would actually get it all in one view, and he could actually understand those?
Yes, and then he would have completed everything, and then he would get all the story points.
On your software and way to check the.
We would do everything with the audio to draw him from seeing the things he really may not see. But you know, we can't.
Maybe if he starts to look here in the wrong direction because he would win too fast, somebody would drop a glass and then you hear it, and if he's looking there, you make it.
Well, yes, but they would not drop a glass, because then in every storyline they have to drop a glass, because the video file is always the
It would
same.
be like drop a glass, really not a lot of sound,
Yeah.
or like.
Yes, indeed, it would be the audio that changes, and also you can make sure that the viewer can't get everything, because in my movie, when you look at the dialogue at right, you can only hear this in the third one. So if you look at this in the first storyline, you would hear it like, so you can't understand it. It's impossible to hear what they say, and then you can prevent that he really gets the story. But you know, we are short on time, so maybe in 5 or 10 minutes you could
write a story.
write a story with multiple storylines.
Okay,
this is a good starting.
Yeah, I think it's a good setting.
I think one good thing is that you set one person alone, so if we need to draw attention away from something, that one person can like say some
mumbling or
mumbling.
Yeah.
And if you really
Yeah.
if you really needs to look away, it goes louder that you understand what he says. But if he looks at it and it isn't important, then you just say it low, like he had too much drinks and it's like.
I think it can be interesting. You have like 2 people talking here, 2 people talking there, antagonizing each other. And this guy is sort of the guy who agrees with everyone, and he's kind of very drunk, and so he helps you direct the attention by the way he's looking at people he's agreeing with. Like, yeah, that's a good point. And like, oh yeah, you Irish. So you see him looking there. So when you hear him, then you're like, oh, okay, these guys are more interesting.
So to do the images in what storyline one, the main one that's a bit obvious and that's not so exciting to discuss. When we watch it the first time, what do we want?
Maybe we want the guy to feel the ambience and then to be interrupted by an event you don't understand. So maybe maybe just be the pub, so I have some sound, I have some people around. Yeah. And as events, we have a long discussion and a fight that at the end that we can already mark.
Yeah, so I think a fight at the end will be
to
raise questions.
Who is fighting?
So one of the 2 groups.
Yeah. So is it like about football and hooliganism?
Yeah, we can
we
do
could
it.
say yeah, we could say that.
We can do about the sexual life of animal in the forest, but it won't be the same.
You have one guy on the other side. That's my fetish.
There is always one guy.
There's this guy at the top.
All the people look like your wife.
So maybe it's about. So if it's about football, then maybe you have the host country that's playing, and then there's people from far away that came, and they're losing.
Yeah,
so they're like super pissed.
So we have to know which team it is, and so some
you
flag,
have the score,
some mark
yeah.
on the face of the guy,
It's
maybe.
England versus Russia.
Maybe.
Do we give like already a neutral point of view? Do we say when we start?
The drunk guy.
Those two guys. So like ideally that's this zone. If you want from this part of the little one, what's happening at the beginning that draws enough attention. It's not a fight yet.
So these guys are maybe the English guys, and like the bar is in England, it's an Irish pub or whatnot. And so maybe one of the guys is only just coming in, he's like, hey, you're here too to watch the game, and something like this. And, so it's because he's coming in, and like you hear the door open, and like, you know, like
But he talks directly to his friend or to the waiter? Because if he talks to the waiter, we're sure he can straight away.
that's while he's alone, while the first of these two Englishmen is alone, then he's talking to the waiter, and then the second person comes in, and then
This guy.
he's like, hey, change the channel, the game is gonna start, you know. Yeah, that's what it is.
And then going
Yeah. And so they're like, and then maybe they're like, the Irish, no, the Russians don't stand a chance. They're not used to the heat in the UK or something.
random small talk, but it has to be interesting and loud enough for us to. And is there something we want to hide also? Like at the end, because we had to have something that's like a eureka moment, but nearly like some way to conclude the actual end.
Yeah. Maybe like you're looking at these guys all the time, but they're doing like coke or something at the same time.
Maybe hide some baggage on the on the table beside it, where we can put money and a gun that go out just kindly,
Hey.
And so the two guys over here, we joke with them, but we don't know them, and then we know they are very.
You know what? Maybe the thing is that so these guys are like doing drugs, and they got like some drugs with them, and they're from Russia, and they're sort of trying to sell. And the friend who comes in, is a cop who's just off his shift, and so like at first they're like doing coke and stuff, and kind of doing it hidden. But then this cop comes in, and like the guy asks, "Hey, how was your shift?" I was like, "Oh my god, with all these Russians in town, there's like a lot of." I don't know anything about Russia. There's like a lot of violence and drug dealing or something. And
you could have like the first storyline as something boring, it's like football, and then there's a fight at the end about it.
The thing in the end is
you have some cups hidden somewhere there.
Like the thing, the tension is, and like the hidden storyline is that these guys are like drug dealers, and you only find it out at the second viewing when you're sort of looking at them. But because the exit is here, and like a cop comes in, and like they're sort of the whole time like, how do we get out of here without getting caught or something? And I'm tripping balls, but we have to be casual, so it can be maybe a little comedic. And like maybe there's a conflict at the end when they're trying to get out, but maybe they're like very clumsy and they're way too obvious. Like, I'm sure, certainly I'm not a drug dealer or something. Hey, friends, like being way too nervous. Yeah, maybe it's not like Russians, but it's just like teenagers who are very nervous because they're underage at a bar and they're doing cocaine or something, and they're trying to way too obviously not be underage drug dealers. And like in the end there's a conflict because the cop finds out and like, hey, what are you doing here? And that's like in the end you get that they are like fishy people or not, they shouldn't be there and they're doing illegal stuff. And when you watch it again you see them doing all this illegal stuff when you're not looking at the cops. And that's maybe it's underage drinking and it's just like this, and it's sort of like Superbad, that movie with like McLovin, and him going to the shop and he's got like a fake ID and stuff. So maybe it's something like this. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That's
no, but you have lots of good ideas. But how do we?
So
yeah, we have a structure like even narrow the focus and find a way to make it possible.
But so that's.
It's really.
But here you have then the sort of story structure, right? You have the beginning, like the first time you view it, you're watching the cops, they're coming back and they're talking about their shift and about what's going on, and you get these sort of strange interruptions of these other guys who are trying way too hard to not be suspicious.
Yeah.
So like, hey, yeah, what did you do with your driver's license today? Where did you drive? And then like they stop talking and they're like looking over like, okay, and then they ignore it the first few times. And there's like 2 or 3 of these interruptions, and where they're being way too weird and way too obvious that they're nervous. And then in the last one, they're like, hey, how old are you guys? And then they're like trying to scramble out, and they go here, they just make a break for it, but then the cops sort of tackle them, and yeah, and that's when they found out they're like underage. And then the second time you view it, you see them doing all these sort of yeah, illegal stuff, like they're doing drugs or something, and they're drinking. Yeah, maybe like the first scene is like the bartender is first like serving them a drink and like asking them for their ID, and if you look at them, you see them like sweating and stuff. So it's just, if you watch it the second time, you see them being very nervous and sort of being kind of comedic.
So how do you pay attention to? Because basically you have exactly the same video file for the whole 3 times.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing that
What's
that
like
changes is what we pay attention to, and thus what we have to decide, as far as understood, is what is more, what forces us to focus based on sound and based on visuals.
To make it simple,
exactly
like,
the same content.
let's say it's like 2 times, and like you have one time the story of the cops and then the conflict in the end, and the second time you just have the story of the teenagers, and the way you focus attention is that they're kind of whispering like, oh my god, like, so what do we do, man, hide the blow or something.
Someone that do a lot of noise and are very happy will maybe attracts the view of the camera, of the guy looking. So maybe you can do something like the bar is empty, there is you are waiting with your glass. Then there is 2 guys a bit excited, but you don't know them coming. They sit, they ask alcohol, but they look young. So the way the waitress ask his ID, and as he said, there's coke, there is drug, so they don't want. So they say okay, but they are a bit stressed.
So
then
can we do it like the first action is 2 young guys entering bar.
You know, that's maybe like the second viewing you start earlier when you got all the points for the first viewing with the cops, and then you start like 5 minutes earlier with that scene where you're waiting these guys. So if you have like the so like the first, if you have the kids and then the cop, the storyline, or hang on, so do you mind if I?
Sure.
So if you have the cop story,
need to really structure because we keep on idea.
Oh no, absolutely. It's just, so if you have the cop and the kids, you start like right here with the first cop enters bar. And then the second cop and his friend comes in, and you do the whole thing with the conflict in the end. And then the second time you go through, you start like 5 minutes earlier with the kids, like they enter the bar inconspicuously.
You have to have exactly the same between 5 minutes earlier.
I mean that the second time you view it, you start 5 minutes earlier in the scene, and you don't have the 2 cops, you don't have the first cop, you just have
the same location,
exactly.
With the same timeline too.
Yeah, but like
if you do that, there is a big problem, because if you have to focus on something only, you lose everything in 360. So you have to make people come in the stuff and three or four people around you.
Not necessarily, it's just like the inverse of this movie, where when you do it all correctly, you get a little piece extra at the end. Like here, you do it correctly the first time, you get a piece extra at the top of it, and then you know, like, oh, it's about these kids, you know, like they're doing.
You make me think about what we can. I know it's not the exercise, but what we can be good in this kind of situation is to record the 4 audio of the 4 acts, of the 4 people, and then use the rotation of the head, not in a simple typical 360 movie, but in interactive 360
But
movie,
what nice
you use the
is
rotation of
if
that
you are
to
the
make the
viewer
volume
and you
high
use
and
Exactly.
very slow. So you can only hear one people talking. If you are focusing on the kids, you won't hear the mafia stuff talking or the cop joking. Just you have to look at them and follow the conversation and follow the speak.
Exactly, yeah.
It sounds a bit like I don't know which game it is, but where you have the flashlight.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
only see when you have a certain amount of battery in the flashlight, and you turn it on, and you only see a little bit. Yeah, so here, but it's not. I don't think it's actually. I don't think that's the exercise.
Yeah.
It's still, it's like what you suggested also with the 5 minutes before. It works, and I think it's a good solution, but not to this problem.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and it looks like, so you look
okay,
at women
yeah,
and
so,
hear voiceover. Okay.
first scene, so let's just walk through the storyline like from the perspective of the cops, right? That's like the first cycle, I guess. So, okay, you have one cop sitting at the bar, and he's asking for a drink or something, and you give it to him, and then this second friend enters. That's like the first thing, right? And then they talk about.
So,
Yeah, no, please go ahead.
Or you can have this player and
in the end, what we'll do is to one is going to be the
okay,
cops, so
you
know
give me
so
the
we-
money
we
now
can-
too.
I have some post-its if you guys like the constructions around. I have some post-its and then we can shift
The
around.
guys is
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah,
Then
we can like 5 minutes.
always that the car come,
so
you
first
hear
cop
that
enter.
okay, I will lose, I need to win because I
Maybe
need
this
to
is
give
going
the
to be
money
happen on
the
both
guys.
sides,
Yeah.
but it's more like
Then you see
we get yes,
suspense
Yeah,
that
yeah.
but we get let's say
win or not.
maybe with this, and then
Because you
here
know
we
that
add points.
he will, if he loses,
Yeah.
he loses his
When
life and not,
we
just the game.
focus on the cops, in here that enters, we get
don't know that
plus
it's
5
mafia.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's always
And
like,
then
we need fixing.
we
You're
will
like,
go
he's a
to-
cheat. Why do you?
if we
Why does
have
it
more
okay,
than
he doesn't win skill.
100 points,
Yeah.
And then,
then
the second
it
time you watch
will
it, you
raise
will
the
be like,
volume
oh
on
man,
some
shit,
stuff
this
Yeah.
in the
guy
second
is
storyline.
losing.
Okay, so
Or
the
something
first
like
cop
that.
enters, and
And
at the
then-
same time,
Oh, that
like
can
one
be
of the kids
interesting because
does
you-
like a line of
so you
cocaine,
watch the first
like the
time,
very first thing that he does, but then and he's like he sees the cop, and he's like oh shit,
and
shit,
he's
shit.
the whole time
and he's
like,
getting the
oh, I
cocaine
can't
off the
believe
table
he's
and talking to his
actually
buddy like,
trying to cheat the game.
oh,
To
there's
win.
people here, you know, like,
Yeah, another person, and this person is trying to prevent that he.
So he doesn't know it's a cop yet.
When what can
and
happen
you're
then
actually like,
one
okay, three
cop
has to
enter
win because three is the good one.
and ask
And at
for
the end,
order.
it
So
seems
yeah,
like
we
he's
have
going
to look at
kill.
this.
So
His
every time
attention,
you watch it like,
and you're
hey,
hearing
three,
the
why are
bell
you
of the
doing
door and
this?
all
He's
this.
going to get killed. Stuff. So that would change.
And maybe he can like he's maybe at the door, and he's like, hey David, you coming? You know, like the second guy who's going to come over, and then you're like, oh, the guy is here, and then you're looking at the guy and you're giving him a drink, and then
Yeah.
so he shouts at his friend, who then like
you need to give
half a minute later enters to
thing
the
with the multi-layers. You
I
need
just
to
added
give
before to King
your
Glasses,
viewer a certain
no matter what the
idea of
storyline
scene,
is,
and
Yeah.
so it gives a little bit of
wrong.
time for the person to look
And
around,
it's
because
so
for the first few
wrong that
seconds,
it
I mean,
really
we like to
changes
just
your
scan the room just
Yeah.
to see where I am. So if we do something too early, then we don't have time to
yeah
drive the attention.
to get it exactly. So okay, you get the cop coming in, and then so the kids don't know that it's a cop yet, so they're sort of casually talking. Oh man, I'm tripping out. That's some really good code. And yeah, man, that's yeah, turn the music up or something. It's, and then so the cops don't know that the kids are underage yet, and they start talking about their shift at the same time. So while these kids are talking about how high they are, then the cops start talking about, you know, oh man, it was such a hard shift today. Like, how can there be so many drug dealers or something? And let's say it's New York. New York.
What could be good is that you as waiter, when the cop come, you hide something of the drug deal.
Someone in the middle.
Because
yeah,
if you
yeah.
hide something, you are in the story now, you know,
Yeah.
because you have
We just have to
Yeah.
wait until they're
and
finished.
so when the cop will say
someone has
what's your
headphones,
thing
maybe?
about, so oh, the whole this drug dealer, the guy looking or he said, oh fuck.
Did you
I
or
mean,
the,
you know,
That you are the drug dealer, sort of as the
No, but you help them.
yeah.
So now you
take this.
now you are stressed because the cop is aggressive with you. You know?
Yeah.
No, not just the drug dealer on the side of you.
You know, I always have my head.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Okay, so where we
So yeah, in the storyline.
So then these guys are talking about their shifts. So then at the next part,
I'm
the
going
kids
to
are like,
double check to see if-
shit, those are cops. And then they start whispering like,
Got this.
yes, man, that's a
You
cop,
want to
man."
watch? Yeah. Then
Go
maybe you
to
need to
the-
take
go-
a chair.
Go to the bathroom, flush it or something. And then one of them sort of, too lovely. No, I have to go pee. And then he goes, takes like a bag and goes like this to the, and then he flushes it. And like the cops, they stop their conversation just for a second when he says that, and they're like, why is he so loud, you know? But then they go on because they don't really get that they're kids yet. And so yeah, that can go on for a bit, I guess. But then we can sort of skip the whole middle bit and get to the end just to finish, I guess. So at what point?
I think they will go to still have a bit of.
Oh yeah, okay.
Go away.
Like we
They
can.
will go watch.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because I think he's going around.
Because we have the start, and if we just write the end, then we can sort of be flexible about how much like comedy you want to know.
So they have hide the drug. And so what happened?
So yeah, how does it end? So I guess they get like apprehended by the cops, or the cops at some point need to figure out like these kids are suspicious and they probably should be here. Yeah. So how do they do that?
Yeah, so we get maybe the cop.
Oh,
yeah.
maybe it's like when they hide the coke, they don't know where to put it. Oh no, wait, they go flush it down the toilet. I was gonna say like maybe they put it in like a salt shaker or something and then give it to somebody, and then like the third guy who's very quiet sort of starts tripping balls. But that's another idea. It's too much.
Yeah, it's a long thing.
Yeah.
But maybe the guy forget the pack.
Just to the right.
So you take the pack and you hide it.
Yeah.
But the cops see it, and so she asks not because she don't think it's drug, but what did you hide, you know?
Oh.
And then you have to cover yourself, and the drug dealer try to cover you because you're in trouble, you know?
Yeah.
And then the fight starts between the two guys slowly, and then he take your gun and say, okay, show me a gun.
Yeah.
And then the stuff go wrong, you know?
Like so the guy tries to flush it and then he comes back and he thinks he succeeded, but actually it's still floating or something.
Yeah.
And then one of the cops goes to the loo and sort of finds it, like, whose drugs is this? And then he goes, makes the rounds. And like these two guys are very sweating, and then you get this conflict. Yeah. Like it doesn't need to be like a shootout in the end. Like maybe it's just that they arrest them or something. Yeah. Or maybe it's like, have you guys seen Superbad? Like this. It's way back, but then they're like cool cops and like, hey, we were young once, you know. And, then they like just give me some of that coke and it's all good or something, or I don't know.
We are doing a committee 360.
Yeah, exactly. Felony 360.
Have you worked something out?
We can improvise maybe.
No, because we don't have do a structure something with ends and with
because it's hard to think of
storyline
everything at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of everything at the same time without just adding more stuff. And just saying, okay, there is this thing happening and then driving at me.
But like, why not like the cool cops at the end, and then you can sort of neatly finish the story, right? So you just have the cops who find coke in the bathroom, and then they figure out that these kids are not, you know, they're underage and they shouldn't be there. And then it's like, we were young once, and just give us a bump. And then they're cool. I don't know, what do you guys think?
So what is the idea?
But maybe this guy can play with the kids, you know. He go to the bathroom, she find the drug, but she don't come and say, hey guy, who? But she come back, sit on the stuff, and then a discussion start between the cop and the stuff, but like the cop know.
Exactly.
But the kid don't know that they know, so it start to be
like a game of cat and mouse.
Start
like
to make stress them out, you know. And
you know what's the worst? Drug dealers.
Yeah.
Kids who do drugs. I hate those.
And then you said you have a dog in the car and he can smell drug, you know?
Oh yeah, exactly.
And the guy, oh fuck.
They start like intentionally like stressing the kids.
Do you want to see the dog, you know?
Yeah.
And with the dog, you don't have to say no because it's always them to count on the guy, you know.
That's really good. Yeah. So like I mean the basic structure is that you have the bar, and at the start there's these two kids and they're underage and they're doing drugs like cocaine or something. And so at the start also at the other side of the bar, one of the cops, or two cops come in, but one after the other. So you hear them coming in. They make the door makes some noise, and the one cop shouts after the other like, "Hey, are you coming?" So then the your attention is directed to them, and they sit down, and so they start talking about their shift. And so at the start, like one of the kids is actually doing a line of work, and that's like something you see at the second view. When they look up, they see there's someone, so they try to hide it, but they don't know they're cops, so they're like just talking about how great the drugs are. But then once they figure out,
they don't know how they don't see it are cops. Well,
not yet. But once they start talking about their shift, they're like, oh shit, these are cops. And then they start whispering, and then one of the guys sneaks to the bathroom and sort of flushes it down the toilet.
You as waitress, you clean the stuff to the cop to don't see the drug, you know. So you are in the story because you are. If the cop find out, you are you are assisting, you know.
Yeah, and then so then eventually the cops find like maybe the drugs didn't flush correctly through the toilet, so they found it, and then they're sort of cool about it. So he goes back to his friend and he's like I found these drugs and it's probably from those kids. So how about we psych them out? And then they start talking very loudly about. Kids who do drugs, that's the worst. Or we've got this great dog who can smell for drugs. And hey, waitress, should we bring him in because he's very friendly and stuff. And then if you look at the other kids, when you look again, they see that they're sort of stressing out. Or maybe they're sort of also talking very loudly, trying way too hard to not be, to be inconspicuous. Like, hey, I have to go to the bathroom now when they go flush it down the toilet or something. And that like stops the cops in their conversation. Like, who are these kids?
So the only question I have is, when the viewer watches it the first time, at the end, what does he know? Does he know that it were the kids who were using drugs?
Yeah. In the end, yes, because if you follow the cops at the first time, then it ends like at some point the cops know that the kids are doing something, and then you follow the cops, and in the end they sort of say to the kids maybe like, hey, we were young once too.
Well, yes, but that's the thing you need to make at the end. It's so unclear that you don't know what happened, and that you need to watch again.
Yeah, the idea at the start was to make something happen, like a fight or something like that, and you don't know why a guy is dead. So the first time you look, you have this kind of people talking about, but we forgot that now.
But that guy, what?
I mean, at the start we wanted to do a very bad action happen at the end of the story, to make the people relook the stuff, to understand what happened.
What you could do is like you have this the kids, and one of them needs to flush to do it in the toilet. And he comes out in the second floor lines, so this is the linear story. And the other one is like, you flushed it, right? Shit, I didn't flush it. And then this other guy, who was another guy at the bar, goes to the toilet and tries to flush it. But of course the toilet totally freaks out. And the waitress is like, another waitress is like, oh no, what's happening? And then one of the cops is like, oh, I'm an expert in this. And he walks to there. And he's like, due to drugs, and they're like, oh, we're going to put you in cuffs, and this person gets dragged out. And then you're like, okay, he's the one. And then you see these kids in the background, and then you're like, what the fuck? And then you watch again, and you see, oh, these evil little kids.
That's pretty good, And then you figure out it's a kid.
So at the end, you have to have this question like,
who did it?
Who did it? What happened?
Oh, that's good. Alright, so it ends when they drag this guy out and the kids are like high-fiving or something.
And you don't know, and you see, oh, those kids, but I've seen them. And then you go to watch again and watch on the kids, and then you see that they're using the drugs.
That's really good, Well, there's a storyline.
So maybe at the end, the cops can go with this guy to the kids, see that you don't become more like him or something. The kids,
exactly.
We're never going to be like
shame on you.
Shame on you, yes. And then they drag him out.
Oh, that's good, Well, that's what can be cool too. We get the storyline then, I think, no? Like, basically.
What could be cool too is that the drunk guy we spoke about in the first version, Okay, you know when you are drunk and you don't have money and stuff like that, you don't want to pay beer around to people. What we can do is when the guy hides the drug, he hides money too. So we had to resist to the story.
Spy,
And
the other team.
suddenly, after going to the toilet, the guy who was drunk started to give, to offer beer, to offer alcohol, you know, to be more gentle, you know. And then you, at the end of the story, the two drug dealer look about the money, don't find it, and you actually find out.
Like the way that you get the cop in the bathroom is that the drunk guy goes to the toilet and can't flush it because there's drugs in it that didn't flush. And then he's like, hey, you know, Rhonda, the waitress, your toilet's broke. No, again. And then the cop goes in and he finds the drugs and then arrests the guy. So it has to be, because otherwise it's another scene that you have. Yeah. So okay, that's the story beats, right? You have so two storylines. Kids snort a line of coke. At the same time, the cop comes in, and his second buddy comes in. Kids talk about drugs and how great it is. They start talking about his shifts. So the kids start to realize these are cops. Holy shit. We have to go flush this down the toilet. So one kid goes there and puts it in the toilet. So these cops are just still talking about their shifts. And then the kid comes back and he says, your friend asks him, you flushed it, right? And the kid's like, oh no, shit, I didn't flush it. And at the same time, this other guy goes to the toilet and tries to flush it, but it doesn't work. So he comes back and talks to you, the waitress, like, hey Rhonda, your toilet's not flushing. And he's like, oh shit, not again. And then one of the cops stops the conversation, like, hey, I'll go check it out, don't worry. I used to be a plumber or something. So he goes to check out the toilets and he finds drugs in it. So he's like, who's doing drugs in here? Okay, Buster, this guy, he arrests the guy and he says, you're going downtown. And then as he's dragging it out, that's a good suggestion. I think he turns to the kids like, hey kids, you need to learn, don't be like this guy. This is a sleazebag, you can become better than that. And they're like, yeah, it's really bad of you, sir. And then they drag it out. And then so if you watch it again, you look at the kids who are doing the coke and trying to hide it and like whispering, put it in the toilets and there you go. So that's beat by beat kind of the story. So you get like two main lines and then the sort of third line with the drunk guy. He's not really doing a lot, he's just sort of following along or something, or maybe
so maybe we have to focus very high on the police and the guy going to the toilet.
Exactly.
Because else someone may understand all the story by just looking at what happened.
Maybe this like the guy who goes
hide more the story of the two kids.
Exactly.
And make people understand by looking at it and not just hearing.
Maybe like the two kids, or you have the bar, right? And you have the waiter here. So the two cops sit here with the entrance. Here's the guy who is going to the toilet. But then there's like a booth in the back where the kids are. So they're not sitting at the bar, but it's a bit more distance between them. And maybe the guy who's sitting there is kind of like drunk and like this. And like he looks like he's going to vomit and he makes like some noises about it. And then the waiter is like, go to the toilet, don't vomit on my bar. And that's when he goes. And yeah. Okay. So, do we got the story down there?
Okay, did you change anything from the things I heard?
That was a pretty good suggestion for the ending, so that's how we're doing it.
And what did change then now or nothing?
Not that much.
So, if I get it right, I'm the viewer, I'm a bartender. I see, you know, at the first time I just see cops coming in, they're laughing, blah blah blah, then suddenly I heard the other bartender screaming, oh no, my toilet is fucked. One of the cops says, oh, no problem, you want to fix it?
It's one of the tenants.
What?
It's one of the...
Yeah, okay, so one, and he fixes it and he says, oh no, I find drugs here, and this old dude that had flushed the toilet, he gets arrested. They go with him to the children and they say, don't be like one of this. And the children are laughing. That's first time. And then the second time we follow the children. We see that they are doing drugs. They try to hide it. And when they try to hide it, they fail. Is that how you see it?
They're like whispering, did you flush the toilet?
Okay, so we're going to try this in this 25 minutes, very short. We'll go to the directors. Just a so it's a very fun exercise.
Or bar. Cop and kids.
You direct?
6 people.
6. Yeah, right.
Just we're going to do it with everybody, but we just need one person who will say to everybody what to do. Or if really nobody wants to do it, I'll do it.
I
We have the dialogue
okay, sure.
mostly there.
I can direct, yeah, to voice dialogue. Sure.
Roughly like this.
Yeah, set up like that.
Okay, I'm going to.
That's police.
Yeah, police 1, police 2, teenager 1, 2, the sort of room, the waiting, the drunk guy, the toilet, everything is in view more or less.
So it's four table, with 3 table, we can do that?
Yeah.
2 tables is enough now.
One table here, and then like a table here, and a table there, and then it's fine actually. Yeah. So, yeah. 3 tables exactly.
3 tables?
Yeah.
Okay, like this.
And then let's make that the entrance of the bar, right? So we can have a table here, a table there, and a table here, and that's like a booth at the window.
Maybe this should be the toilet because we need to see
Oh,
people
but
get in.
you're right.
The
Yeah.
entrance we don't use it so much.
You don't need it that much, yeah. So then, let's see. But, oh, yeah, you can have like
That's really
table.
amazing, the lightning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Over the
It's very dramatic.
It's different every time you come, so
You're here often. The labs.
not enough.
This is a good office. So you can have the table of the kids is at the window. We set up the bar like here or something. And then people come in from there, and that's the toilet. And then you have to.
We can really use this door as the toilet, and go there.
Yeah. Hang on.
So we put here's
for the room we have. So these are the windows. So let's say that the kids are at a table here. It's the toilet. The fictional entrance is like, I don't know, yeah, maybe here. And then you have like, let's put a table here and here, and that's like the fictional bar.
We don't have
We can
limited.
really have enough bars to with enough tables
Oh,
to.
to make a real bar, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can do it like this. And then these are cop 1, cop 2, drunk, kid 1, kid 2.
Where's the waiter? Here?
Yeah, that's the waiter, and these are the patrons, the actors. So cop,
But
cop.
it's not so good if those ones are really inside, because
Yeah.
then if we change the volume, we'll still focus on the.
So they need to be right here,
Yeah,
actually.
probably.
Yeah, okay, that's true. And when you just watch the drunk, you have this nice view. So I like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's set up the tables.
And what's the storyline now?
Oh, sure. So you're set in a bar, and you are the waiter. So beat by beat, the first time you look at it, you see these 2 cops coming in, and they're talking about their shift. And at a certain point, this drunk guy goes to the toilet, and he comes back and he's like saying to the waitress like, "Hey, Doris, the toilet is stuck. It won't flush." And the Doris is like, "Oh, not again." And then one of the cops is like, "It's okay, man. I'll go check it out. I used to be a plumber." And he goes, he finds the drugs, he comes back, and he's like, "That guy is trying to hide drugs." The drunk guy. And so they arrest him. Oh wait, actually the kids have to be. Okay, hang on. I have to reset this. The kids. So he passes by the kids with the drunk guy, and then he's like, "Guys, you don't want to end up like this guy, like this sleazeball." And the kids are like, "Yeah, sorry, that's okay." But we have to.
Then if you just put the entrance here, you
Here,
can.
then it's yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh, nice. So the entrance is going to have to be here because he has to pass by the kids when he's taking the drunk guy out. Right. The cops.
Yeah. That's one.
Yeah, we can actually do it with one cop, and he can be talking to you, the bartender.
Where is the waiter here?
The waitress is right here, yeah, standing right here. You can actually do it with one cop, huh? And then they're just talking to you directly, like as the waitress.
So we put these 2 tables here.
Yeah, let's put this one there and then 2 tables against it there, and then you have a nice L-shaped.
If you drag this down, then we have the
thing for the kids. Yeah. Yeah, we can do that too. If you
So
put that
this-
one over there,
Okay.
then where it was. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, so the viewer, where is the viewer?
The viewer is right here. You're the waitress, and then or the waiter, depending on who plays it. And then you have actually 1 cop right here.
Yes.
1 drunk guy right there.
Yeah.
And then 2 kids over there.
Yes. Okay, and the toilet is over there.
The toilet is over there. The entrance is over here. So when the cops drag the drunk guy out, they close like this. And then
Yeah. Okay, and what's your name? Thomas. Okay. You're the waiter.
I don't know.
No, you best be
Oh,
the
nice.
director.
You put your coats. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, I'll. So
Okay,
somebody-
so the viewer, maybe the girl over there. Yes, you heard girl. You heard. It's again. You can stand here, and then Thomas will say what everybody else has to do.
We need 2 cop. Well, we can do it with 1 cop actually. So who wants to be the cop?
I can be a cop.
Okay, cool. And we need. So you will come in here. Sort of.
There's a way.
Yeah. You can actually use it as a prop if you like. You can enter here and make like a noise like this. And then you put the coats on the rack. And then you walk in the bar. And then you sit down at the bar and then you start talking to the waitress. And like talking about your shift as a cop. But that's okay because you don't have to talk it up. Because you're the passive viewer of the VRC. So you're a cop and you can improvise a bit of lines about how your shifts that day was like, oh, it was such a hard shift, we had to push so many guys or something. En je moet gewoon luisteren. Like, doe gelijk dat je
But the problem is that for the waitress, we have to put the cameras on.
Yeah, but we do that at the end.
Yeah,
It's first the
Yeah.
choreography. It's
Yeah.
most important.
So that's what you do. You get in here and then you just talk about your day and you just listen to them. We need a drunk guy. Wants to be drunk?
Drunk or drunk?
Okay. So the whole scene, like half of the scene, you're just sitting here and so like with your hands in the air. Yeah, well, you just go like this and then you're super drunk and you're glass. And you're just being passive. Until the moment, until the moment you have to go to the next.
I'm gonna be the one who's going to find out that something's wrong with the flash.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna try to.
Not going to be then.
And then you come back and like. But that's the second part of the scene. And then you're kid number 1. Oh man. Yeah, okay. Okay, you're kid number 2. Yeah, okay. So you guys are sitting over there. And at the beginning of the, so we need 2 seats over here. Yeah. And can use it.
No, because it's holding the door.
Yeah. Hold the door.
My main
No,
problem,
no, oh, that's good too.
my main problem is that the data is not good enough for the plate. So maybe we can shift,
Yeah,
shift it more on the.
Okay, now we got this.
Yeah, we can close the door. That's over there.
We call it for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good. Then maybe
They come from here?
No, it comes from you come from here. So that's okay. You guys can both sit over there. Maybe that will work out.
Like this. And towards the face of two guys.
Let's maybe turn it like this, and then you guys can sit.
I mean, like,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you both sitting over there. Oh, it's turned around like this.
Yeah, like maybe like this. And then if you guys are sitting over there, then it's nicely spatially divided between one person and the other. Okay, so at the start of the scene, the first thing you do, Laura, is snort a line of coke. Just act natural. And you guys are like tripping balls and talking very excitedly about how great the drugs are. Okay. So that's the first part of the scene. So you're coming in, you're being drunk, you guys are doing coke. Second part of the scene, you're still talking about your shift, and you guys realize, like, oh my god, that's a cop. And so you start whispering, and like, you have to flush this thing down the toilet, man. You have to get rid of it. sort of inconspicuously get up and you shout, "I'm going to the toilet now."
The second time.
See you later, friends. And then you go all the way around and you go to the bathroom. And at this point, like when he's shouting, like "I'm going to the toilet," you sort of stop your conversation, and then you don't think a lot of it.
The audio
You continue.
changed. Only the audio changed.
And so when you come back and you sit down, you guys try to talk casually.
So nobody then you sit here and writing.
And then you're like,
take it with them.
I want to suck. And then you have to say,
I will let them do that.
go to the bathroom, go do that. Don't do that on my bar. You have to go over there. And so you're sort of going over to the bathroom and sort of stumbling around. But then as soon as you get there, you try to flush, and then you get back, and you say to the waitress, like, "It doesn't work. The toilet's clogged." And then you say, I'll have a look. Don't worry about this. You go, and you find drugs in the toilet, and you storm out like, "Who tried to flush drugs in here?" And then you point to them, and you're like, you were in here last. Are you trying to hide something from me? And then you get him with the hands behind the back, and you start marching him out. And as you pass by here, you say, "Kids, don't end up like this guy." "No, we won't, sir." And then you go out, and that's the end of the scene. So, is it clear, or should we go over it again? Yeah. So let's just, like, without acting it out, let's just step through it.
Step on it.
Step on it.
Don't step on that.
Let's just, like, do it part by part where we have to be,
Okay.
without really having to act it, but just say, "Okay, I'm walking the bar, I have to sit down."
I'm hanging the coat. Nice. Good. What a day at work. I started out with this little guy trying to cheat on his wife. The whole neighborhood was in rap and roer. Loud noises, they called me up. I got there, they were throwing glass at each other. A lot of stuff. Then we had this drunk guy at the bar. They had to drag him out on his feet. Really amazing. Luckily my own pal
zet hem omhoog
take some food with me in a nice neighborhood. And then some dude was running
I'm
down
going
the
to the
street taking
she's going
handbags
to the
boldly.
toilet.
Okay.
So that guy runs off, and I'm after it. And my pal in the car chasing it. He got that son of a bitch as well. Yeah.
You can be like, "I'm going to be sick" or something. I'm sick. And then you have to be like, "You go to the toilet and don't do it."
Go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Oh, did you flush it?
Some guys really don't know their limit.
Yeah, okay.
The toilet doesn't work. It's out. It's blocked.
Oh, let me take a look at it.
I will go. I will go.
I will take care of it.
Thank you.
We still have time.
So some guy is trying to hide drugs from me. You were the last one. Then. Come with me. I will take you. We will talk about that.
That's cool. That's cool.
You see, kids, never use drugs. That's
Yeah,
bad.
we won't.
Alright, that's really good. Yeah.
We just missed the part about the drunk guy going to the toilet.
Oh, no, but that was him.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's him going to the toilet. Like, he's
No,
like, "Oh,
it
I'm
was-
going to be sick."
Oh,
And then the waitress is like,
I told that.
yeah. Then
He was high, he didn't follow.
I am cocaine.
I even saw when the guy go out on the toilet.
So it was so good
the
that
drunk
you
guy.
even didn't see it.
You have to watch it the second time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, we're going to do it again.
Yeah, we
Very
can
much.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So,
Did we record it?
do we record this?
Yeah.
No, I think the first way. So the tip I gave you.
Yeah.
What did you have to do? The last rehearsal.
What?
You as a director, you should be on the place of the viewer to check if the
sorry.
storyline really works.
Okay.
So you can be out of this. I don't know what's the name of the girl. Jolien. Ja, jij kan even hier weggaan.
Okay.
De regisseur gaat nu even checken of zijn storyline werkt. Oké. Maar je mocht nog steeds in lijn zetten.
Alright. And action.
Okay, come. Western, kids.
Okay, sure.
Sure. Oh boy, what a day.
You
Started out with this dude running away from me. Have to chase half a mile to catch him. Luckily my pal had the car driving in front of him. He's a bit crippled, but who cares? These drug dealers always running away.
I'm going to the toilet.
Okay.
Yeah, then we get a call to go to a nice neighborhood. Old couple was arguing about the television. They were throwing glasses at each other. You must have seen that. It was worth it. Then we were eating at the space.
Hey, you're not gonna get sick on my bar. Go to the toilet.
Some guys just don't know the limits. Always something about it. Then we have to do the dirty work. Clean them up from the bars, pick them up, take them to home. These days. What can we do?
Toilet doesn't work.
Not again, eh?
At all.
Oh, let me look at
Blocked completely.
I know something
Oh,
about
it's
that.
it's okay. I will
Yeah,
do it.
but I will take care of it.
No,
Kat.
I will do it. Okay, no problem.
It's okay. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Problem.
It's very flash, yeah. I hope.
Which guy was hiding this in the toilet? This drugs. You were the last one.
No!
Yes.
No!
Come
No!
with me. I will take a look at it at the office.
Yeah.
You see, cats never do drugs. It's not good.
Yeah, sure. You want.
This is fun, yeah. That's well done, yeah. You do a good mentor, yeah. Nice. I think it works. You know,
Yeah.
I should see your guys' part, but yeah, I think it works. Like,
But again, the guy don't go to the toilet. The
Yeah.
last guy to go to the toilet is me.
No.
Yeah, he goes.
He went to
he
the
says
toilet.
it's plugged.
Yeah.
So
He's,
maybe you have
Oh,
to
yeah,
watch
so-
it.
sorry,
the
sorry,
third
sorry,
time.
no, that's right. He's here like he's sort of
It's me,
convulsing,
it's me.
almost like throwing up,
No,
and
it's,
then
now I remember. So it's okay. It's
yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say like that he has to go to the toilet because like you can't. It's maybe weird to hear your voice
Okay,
acting
yeah.
out. Like if you're like a woman and I'm a guy talking, then it's like. So maybe you should be the one who says you see him.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then-
like what you were doing was very good. And you're like, hey buddy, you know, don't mess up this nice, you know,
Not mess
owners,
up my drink. Go to the
Go
bathroom.
to the bathroom, and then you're like, then you go.
Yeah.
So if that's you, then that keeps
Yeah,
me
it will
off
be
it.
better. Yeah. Okay.
Do you guys want to do it again with me looking at you guys? Or?
But with the cameras this time.
Yeah, let's just go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it 360 camera? Yeah.
Yeah,
we
you
have
got a 10.
On the table.
I'm going to record it.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it okay? Are you?
Okay.
So we're going to record it?
Yeah.
It was everything worked?
One thing we changed is that so sorry, what's your name? Dimitri. So when he gets sort of like he's going to throw up and he goes to the bar, I was saying you're not gonna throw up on my bar, but we gave it line to
Yeah. Lawrence.
Lawrence. So that if somebody else is watching the video and you know my voice doesn't really sound like their voice, it's not confusing. So he's gonna say like, hey, don't throw up over this guy's bar.
Yeah,
this
so,
person's bar.
yeah. And when you watched it, did you feel like you were drawn to the different points?
So because Lawrence is talking to me directly, then like I'm first focusing on him. I don't know if is there enough incentive for me to look at you guys in the second time, or do you have to maybe if you have this sort of second?
So in the second time, the audio from the kids is going to raise.
That's probably the way that you'd have to do it. Like
yeah, or you would have to another character. It's another waitress, and she's really not important, and she actually walks through the room, and then she goes here. But in the first time, you really don't care about it.
I can do that maybe, and then because like you do hear them shouting one time very weirdly, like I'm going to the bathroom, and that sort of draws your attention to the fact that there's two kids there, and also the end of the scene when a cop talks to them, that sort of draws your attention to like these kids who are there and maybe are interested.
But that's meaning that really at the end of the video, then you get into the kids.
You know what you guys have to do maybe is like one of you has like a fake Coke mustache, and so when the cop says like, you know, kids don't do drugs. Yeah, thanks. And then you see that movement, and you're like, wait, these kids were doing drugs? And then when you watch it again, then you look at the kids also.
Okay, but let's record it, you know?
That's good. I'll be the waiter waiting you
Just
guys.
some warm guy.
Sometimes he breaks. Sorry, it's coming.
Silence on the set.
Okay, so it's recording.
Okay, so let's just all take our places, and then when we say go, we go. 3, 2, 1, action.
Mess, cats. Crazy days these days.
Thank you.
I was called for a drugs guy, went running from me. Half a mile I had to do. Almost passed out on that guy. Luckily my colleague went with the car and drive him home. Oh, he's a bit crippled, but yeah, we got him. Then we got a call from a crazy old couple. They were arguing, the whole street has called us. Too many noises. They were throwing glasses at each other. You should have seen them. Hey pal, don't mess up my drink. Go to the bathroom if you have to. These guys, they don't know their limits and we have to clean them up. You know how many calls I got these days to pick them up at bars, bring them to their homes? Oh, it's crazy.
Doesn't work, the toilet. It's clogged.
Oh, don't worry, Messi. I will take a
No,
look
but
at it.
I will do it. I will do it.
Oh, it's good. I know something about that. Hey, who was hiding these drugs in the toilet? You, master. You were the last one.
No!
Yes, sir.
No!
Come with me to the office.
No!
I will teach you what we do with drugs, guys. You see, kids, never do drugs.
Yeah, we won't.
Sure,
to be
sure.
sure.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I think it's good.
Cool, yeah, good.
Good. So because I have feedback, so maybe if someone can shut it down. I don't know. Yeah, press here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can press it.
Okay, I don't know. So okay, we have a small problem. So here is the center of your from the viewer's attention, and here we have the toilet. But one thing we really do not want our viewer to see the first time is this kid going to the toilet, and he also makes a lot of noise. And he says, "I'm going to the toilet."
Yeah.
Hey, you do that. So if I see this kid going to the toilet, then I see a drunk guy going, and then I see a cop rolling out, and this kid is actually saying, "No, I will go fix the toilet." Then I will make the link in the first third line. So if this is my angle as a viewer for the first third line, you do not want your toilet to be in this angle.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you want it to be over there or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the drunk guy here, he will walk and make a lot of noises. So
Then you follow the drunk
and then
guy,
you will
yeah.
follow into wherever the toilet is, but you do not want this to be in your view when the kid is going.
Right. So we should get the drunk guy over there and the cop over here, and then that way.
The
It's
cats
so-
will have to be there.
No, but it can it can be that the drunk guy is over there because you're not going to look at him. You look at the cop, and only when the drunk guy really says, "I'm feeling sick," his audio will draw your attention, and the cop will look at him.
And then.
Okay.
And then he can go to there. That's not a.
It's alright. So
problem.
yeah, if you sit over there and you come over here, then. let's
Maybe the
fix it
cat that goes through here to the toilet.
Yeah,
Then it
indeed.
Oh,
I was also going to say he walks around the copy. You also don't want that to happen.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So
You sit over there, and
Yeah.
when you go to the bathroom, you go over here.
We go like this,
Yeah.
not
Like
around.
this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
If you walk around, that's actually thinking in images in shots.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're actually at a medium shot of the cop, and if in the medium shot someone walks behind you, you see it and you got the attention. So
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
shot, you don't want the kids to
This
be.
way, the first time you see the kids is actually at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Right.
So actually in his play, he should not draw the attention when he's going to the toilet.
Yeah.
If a kid is going to put heroin in the toilet, he's not going to say, "I'm going to the toilet."
Yeah.
You know, it's
No,
not
no,
going
it's- yeah.
Okay.
I get it from it's like from a comedy perspective, like being too obviously like trying to be inconspicuous.
You don't have time to do
Yeah,
that.
it does ruin like the multiple viewings because you immediately know. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good point.
you lose it.
It
Okay.
closes at 10, so we don't have a lot of time. Maybe do the last one, so or we.
We see the other scene maybe, no? Or Do we still have time?
No, we can only do this one now. So I think we just press recording now.
Okay.
For the stitching lines, it's
It's the.
Yeah, but if you
doesn't matter. Like this is the best, I think, because the copy is
Toilet
here.
is the same place.
the problem is it will cut the guy, you know.
Leave it.
No, you need
It's
to
cutting the
zoom
guy.
it a little bit.
You should.
The guy.
30
Okay,
degrees.
you,
Yeah.
you have a pen. Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but if the copy is sitting here.
Then you sit.
The
over
problem
there.
is that you have a partition on the side. You know, you lose 2 millimeters. So if you put it like you were, you cut the face of.
Like this
But,
is
but
going
here is
Yeah,
not
it's
someone,
here
right?
Huh?
In this angle, there isn't someone, right?
Yeah, like this is
Ah,
okay.
here, that's that
As long
guy.
as you sit
Yes.
here and you come sit here, then I think
Yeah.
it should be okay.
Okay. Perfect. So then we need to record it.
I forgot my lines. Improvising.
You have
So
enough lines.
is it's recording now? Okay.
Right, places.
And you're walking, you can do it.
Yeah,
Because,
of course, yeah.
I think it's
Waiting room. Yeah. And action.
Mess, kids.
Oh, hi.
Esther. Crazy old days. This morning got a call. I had to run after a drug dealer. He ran half a mile, then I almost passed out. Luckily my pal drove the car right into him. He's a bit crippled, but we got him. Yeah. And then, crazy old couple, we had to go for. The whole street was calling us. Too much noises. They were arguing about television. They were deaf too. That was a loud thing. Hey master, don't spill on my drink. Go to the bathroom if you have to. These guys never know their limits. Always problems with them, every day. You know how many phone calls we get to get them out of the bar?
Doesn't work. The toilet is clogged again.
Oh, let me take a look at that.
No, I will do it.
No, it's no problem. I will take care of this. Yeah, what's this, mister? I found some drugs in the toilet. Were you hiding something from me?
No, I don't know.
Come to
no,
the office. We will take a
no.
look at it.
But I didn't do something.
You see, kids, never do drugs. It's bad for your health.
Oh, we won't.
Okay.
Very
Good.
nice.
Very nice.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I think this was fun
Yeah,
for
yeah.
as an exercise
Exactly, yeah.
to do so.
Speak live on YouTube.
Yes, we're going to win an Oscar with this.
Well, the conceptual Oscar.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Tanguy and the other are here, so that we can. Hey, you're coming back?
Okay.
Hey, what's this thing you're using, man? It's
You can kind of use
Ça se marche avec une nique.
You can get sort of, because I saw you were pointing it at me.
yeah, because it's a good microphone, but you have all microphone in your direction.
Yeah.
And when I was putting the microphone correctly,
Okay,
I saw the
everyone.
guy in the crowd,
les
but not the guy in the back.
Yeah, so you have to like
avec
follow the conversation.
beaucoup d'applications.
Okay. I think this was it for now, for this workshop, because we have to close and be around. I hope you learned something or learned something about my vision on VR. I don't know if someone has an immediate question that he wants to ask still or not. But please don't hesitate to contact me via email or something, because I really like feedback on everything, and if you have an idea or something you want to work out, or if you want to do to come on one of our VR sets or something, you can always mail. So great. So, but thanks for attending, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Ik heb wat anders ook dan, bij ons testen ze meer dan met bouwen. En nu is dan echt dat je in de film